how to make fun of this.
I fucking got it.
You always had like a slight beef with the Wednesday King.
Oh, definitely.
Tiny thing. This little tiny 4-image thing that was receiving exactly equal weight with all the other games on my itch page.
I think it was also that was when I was doing the big grand Happy Wednesday iffy things.
Yeah.
And I was spending like hours on each of those.
Hours on them. Yeah.
They got like that No Man's Sky one was ridiculous.
That was stupid. Like I did the Mario level one.
Yeah.
The Neptunia one was especially good.
Oh yeah. I remember that. There was one where I had Polly dub an anime line, like to say Happy Wednesday iffy. In the middle of it was like a character shouting coconut over and over.
Yeah.
And then we swapped one of them with Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then there's John posting the same 4-image thing every week.
And then Thursday, What a Concept became a thing.
That one is not funny at all.
There's like the Friday one from Killer 7. Everybody stole our idea.
You're listing the ones that you're listing the ones that I retweet regularly.
Yeah, like
I stopped with Thursday What a Concept. I stopped with the Tuesday Frog and the Thursday one because they kept tweeting about other shit, and I'm like, I am just here.
I'm only here for Tuesday Frog.
This one thing, you need to get that. And the Friday one, Killer 7 Friday, my favorite is yes, Saturdays are made for dads.
It's a day for dads. Oh God! What the internet is? Oh my God! The internet's so helplessly stupid.
It's great. It's the one thing that's keeping us afloat.
Yeah, it's the only thing we have to keep us sane. Oh my God!
Saturdays are made for dads.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Oh, that's good stuff. Wow, we haven't done one of these in 3 weeks, but it feels like a year.
I know. Oh God, November was a lot.
There was, yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, November.
Get ready for December.
Get ready.
Woo!
December 32nd. It's gonna be raw, man.
God, people aren't gonna make that joke a lot. It's gonna be funny though.
Yeah.
Oh God. This is gonna be one of our fun episodes where I have a lot of cold medicine in me.
Oh, good. Good. That's how we work these things. These things always work when one or more of us is inebriated, I think. That's when they kind of work at their best.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never me, so...
It's not, no, you were the designated driver of the show. So if it goes completely off the rails... If it ever goes completely off the rails, Rhett's the one that has to reel it in.
Oh, that makes sense.
Help
That's
us.
your responsibility, Rhett, as host.
Yeah.
Reel us in.
Yep.
I used to drink wine pretty regularly on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Lately, I'm just like, I like my tea.
Mm-hmm. Wine is good. I'm a big fan of it.
I like wine, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, good. It's good that we have a shared mutual interest like that, I think.
We have several, I think. It's
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute one before I do that.
And it's definitely not COVID.
No, it's not. You're not going to get COVID from our podcast. I promise you.
I mean, John definitely did not get COVID twice.
No, that would be silly.
No.
And totally irresponsible.
And completely irresponsible. How irresponsible of you to get a contagious virus twice. Oh.
That would be bleakly funny. I could just be like, well, I think I'd make a life shift if that happened. If that happened,
You
I
might
mean,
have
I've definitely
Ross.
unironically had that cross my mind in the last month of like, I only know one person who got COVID, and it feels like he's going to be the one to get it twice as well.
Oh, that'd be something. I don't think so. We're all good.
How did you subscribe? Wait. How did you subscribe? That doesn't make sense. I'm not an affiliate anymore.
Weird.
What? How
The
did
subscribe
that
button is
happen?
gone on mine.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
There's no What the fuck did you do?
Twitch is broken.
Oh, God. What the hell? Oh, I think he did the notification. Because when you subscribe to someone, you can announce it. And I think Tinger just did the announcement. And that still triggers the alert.
Yep.
So I think that's what it was, is that you subscribed earlier. And then you just announced it. Because I was like, wait a minute, what? I don't have affiliate anymore. I very purposefully dropped from that program. Exactly. It's like a phantom fart. You just got it. But that wouldn't shock me at all if Twitch was broken in such a way where it was just like, I'm not an affiliate anymore, but for some reason they just keep sending me checks. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It'd be like that dude in Office Space still getting a check 5 years after he was fired. Oh man, you're doing Cold Store 4.
Finally doing Cold Store 4's Final Dungeon.
And then you're finally giving the business end of man, dodge tanks. You want to play Cold Steel? Just build dodge tanks. Literally, and they only make you want to make them even more because you get fucking master chords later that's just like, amplify the damage of counterattacks by 400%. Guess what happens when you dodge an attack? You counter.
Oh, jeez.
So you get 400% damage back. I think I did most of my damage in 3 and 4 by just dodging. Except that time I cast an art and did 250,000 damage. Dodge tank with absolute critical. Yep. If you can, I think domination works on that too. Where like the first attack always does plus 50% more damage. It's ridiculous. It's what a ridiculous video game where they let you be very ridiculous. It's almost Binding of Isaac in a way. Just say, I don't care.
Huh.
Break it. Break our game over your knee. It's fine. Okay. We all good?
Look at all these friends.
Look at all the friends that we have. Are we good? Are we good to start?
I think we're good.
I'm golden.
John Thayer's golden. Welcome, everybody, to our last regularly scheduled podcast of 2020 before we dive headfirst into Game of the Year. This is Sockscast episode 128, brought to you as always by Moon Pies. Moon Pies. It's like a chocolate bagel. How's everybody doing? The final regularly scheduled live show of the year. It's good.
Yeah, because we'll all be dead show next time.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it is our final live show before we head into our end of the year festivities, which we're gonna start. We're gonna be recording next Sunday. Y'all won't get to hear those until probably the 22nd through the 25th. I think is when we're gonna be rolling those out. But that means there's still time for our dear listeners to get us their top 3 games of 2020, and they can do so by getting a big old list of their games. 3 of them. 3 video games that you played in 2020. We don't care if they were released this year. Who cares? Years. What is time anymore? Really?
What is 2020?
What is 2020? Who cares? If you played it this year, it can be in your top 3 lists. And then write yourself a little bit about each one. Write yourself a little bit about each one. A couple sentences will probably do you fine, but nobody cares about that rule. Nobody cares.
They're doing pretty good so far.
They're doing pretty good? All right. So we got lists coming in.
Yeah, we have 6 so far.
We got 6 lists. And they're coming into, what's the email address they're coming into, Rhett?
Podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net.
All right, so slap all your stuff together. Slap that in an email, podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net. And, hey, couple of you people out there did it last year, and I'm leaving the option on the table again this year. If you want to send us an audio version of your list, just make us an MP3. Follow the same rules, 3 games. Say whatever you want to do about each of those games. Put it in an email to podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net, and I think I mumble-mouthed my own domain name. It was good. Fantastic. That's how 2020 be. Podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net. Same as always.
There we go.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll fix it in post.
We do have one
MP3 version.
Yeah. I was shocked at who it was from as well.
Interesting. It's iffy.
Keep that one a mystery. It's not iffy.
Yeah. We will be recording the episodes next weekend, so we need your final lists by noon on the 13th. Noon on the 13th, everybody. You ain't got much more time to slack around. That's when we need them.
Send us your lists.
So send us your lists.
Just open up a client right now and do it.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's fun to read. It's fun to read lists.
It's so easy to have your
list. It's fun to have your list read.
Yes, exactly. Imagine us beautiful idiots, reading your fantastic words about the very good video games that you played this year. If you can put yourself in that headspace and imagine it, but you don't have to imagine it. It can be your reality. So 3 games. Doesn't matter if they were released this year. Write a little bit about each one. Send that out to podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net. And we'll get you on the show. It'll be great. It'll be great. To my immediate virtual right, just because tomorrow's spring break doesn't mean he gets to horse around. It's Rhett.
My spring break just ended, unfortunately.
Yeah. You didn't even get the reference.
Aww.
You didn't even get the reference to your own work, did you?
Wait, spring break?
Yeah.
I just truly sorry.
Yep. That was a reference to your own work.
It was a reference.
It was a reference.
Oh shit.
Yep. How you doing, Rhett?
Doing okay.
Doing okay.
It snowed and then rained and then snowed and then rained and froze over. Had a bit of a mess in the driveway this morning.
That is all it's been for the last, I want to say, entire week. It looks like we're getting sun this week, though, thankfully. It's not going to get too warm, but at least it's going to get like 50s at some point, I think.
Nice.
So that'll be okay. But yeah, it's winter. I hate winter. Yay, winter. Oh, boy. I mean, and I got no reason to complain. I know Rhett's got it way worse. Like, he's going to be shoveling that shit until, like, March. It's going to be miserable. Like, he has all the sympathy that I have. He gets all the sympathy. So, yeah. You're ready for a podcast, though. It's been 3 weeks. Surely you've built up a whole bunch, and you're ready to just spout off at any given provocation.
It's been 3 weeks, and I just took a week off work, so I got a lot of stuff to blast through.
This boy could just host. This boy, if me and John were dead, this boy could come in and host this show by himself, and it'd still fill 3 hours. That's how much stuff he's got to talk about.
God.
Fantastic.
Right, good. We will get to you in a moment. Right, we will get to you in a moment. To my immediate virtual left, no matter what you order, motherfucker, he's what you're stuck with. It's John Thayer.
Hi.
Hey.
That's me.
That is you. That is you.
That's true.
Doing good, sounds like.
I don't have anything to add. I'm doing good.
You don't have anything to add, and you definitely don't have COVID. That cough, don't worry, no, people. The cough is not COVID. It's fine. We promise.
It's just a cold.
It's just a cold. You're not.
Just be safe, but it's
fine. You're not going to die listening to our podcast, I promise. I promise.
Absolutely not.
You'll
We're
die of laughter. The laughs are non-stop. And I keep imagining this cheesy-ass ABC TGIF advertisements. The laughs are non-stop with the Winslows on Family Matter. I imagine us being that wholesome.
That was a very on-point voice. That was powerful.
Yeah, Hey, we've had 3 weeks away, and I've had a lot of time to myself. That's what I've been working on for the most part, is perfecting my TGIF advertisement voice.
That's more of a South
That's
Park.
weird. That's exactly what I was doing. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to.
You're not ready to unveil it? Yeah, it was kind of. It had a little bit of that South Park twang to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Wholesome all weekend. He informs us.
Exactly. Of course. Yes. Tom, very wholesome. Synonymous with the word wholesome is that Jetstorm 4, I do believe. Rhett!
It's true.
Hello?
Hey. Get us started. You're the man of the hour.
Oh,
literally. Because
I will try to not take an hour.
you said you've been busy. You had yourself a week alone to your thoughts. How much of that was spent with Dead or Alive?
0.
Wow. Shocked.
Haven't played VR in a while.
Wow. Guess it was just a fad.
I thought about it today, to be honest. I didn't, though.
Wait, you thought about Dead or Alive or VR?
Dead or Alive,
Okay.
specifically.
Okay, Dead or Alive.
I was like, thinking like, yeah, it's been a while.
We could go back to the old horse here.
Oh no, it's definitely more fun when it's been, a month or so.
Yeah, like Fischl needs a break.
God. Wow, right? You went a whole month between waiting. That build-up's gonna be that explosion's gonna be really big.
So what you been doing, Rhett?
Playing a whole lot of video games and watching a whole lot of anime.
That's if you're gonna spend that is the ideal way to spend a week off in 2020, I think.
That's the ideal way to spend a week off for me anytime.
Anytime.
Honestly.
Like, Red does not need a pandemic for this to be the ideal way to spend time off.
I'm just living my true self, regardless of the outdoor situation.
Yeah, it's you got to live your bliss regardless of what's going on. All right, Rhett, break it down for us. What have you been into? What have you gotten into?
Okay, first off, started a little bit of Dead Cells. I like that game. It has very good game feel.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's great as a roguelike.
That's kind of where I started running up against it. I think that when I played it, at least, melee builds just did not feel viable at all.
So is that after the first boss?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, Polly said by the second area melee is bad, and then I was like, oh, these 3 areas are kind of all stage 1. Mm-hmm. And then you hit that first boss, and I don't like the bosses either. They're way too chaotic.
They're Mega Man spammy in a way that is it's more spammy. Like Mega Man bosses are typically spammy, and they just kind of do shit, and it works.
Yeah, especially those early games.
But the bosses in this game in particular drive me nuts because I don't feel that there's much method to the madness.
I would rather there be more bosses that are a little more restrained than just it's always the one boss. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have randomized bosses like Isaac or something.
Yeah.
It just has this one boss that jumps around and then oh, now he's got a shield that does damage to you and he jumps right into you.
Yeah.
You're okay. Yeah, so once you get after that first boss though, the difficulty really does take a kind of big jump up and stops being very fun.
Yeah,
to be honest.
The ramp is immediate. Once you hit that first boss, it's okay, you barely survived. You get to the next area and it's just Jesus, this is a little absurd.
I did have a couple runs in. I had a really good build that was just working for me where I had the ice magic and then a big hammer that was does a crit if you charge it up. So I just ran up to every enemy, freeze them, hold crit, charge up, bam, one shot every
Nice.
time. I got to the final boss.
Yeah.
So I got past another bad spammy boss in the clock tower, and then I just kept going. I got to the final boss, and then he completely wrecked my shit, obviously. And then in the runs after that, I was never actually able to even get back to the second boss again.
Oh no.
Oh.
But it was like, you know how in what's the Rogue Legacy, you have that castle you build up.
Yeah.
Like it's very much like the quarter feeding, one more run, get some more gold, buy an upgrade. This is kind of that, except you're unlocking items for your runs. Like you have to unlock like literally everything.
Yeah.
Every single possible item that can drop. And I just think that's not very fun to me.
No, just like adding things to the pool that you might get to play with.
Yeah.
Or you don't know the intrinsic value of, just feels kind of unsatisfying.
Just having to do every single item one at a time, whereas in like Binding of Isaac, you unlock stuff faster than that, and then you don't have to because in this you'll get an unlock or a blueprint will drop, and then you have to pay cells to actually unlock it properly.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 steps, and it's just like doesn't feel good. I think the starting pool of items is way too small. Because I early on, I kept seeing that one ice magic and that one hammer over and over because there were only like 4 things in the pool. It felt like. And especially like the traps where it's like, oh, here's the buzzsaw, and here's another buzzsaw. hey, and like the fact that the game gives you so many items,
like buzzsaws,
through so many ways where it's like, you'll open a chest, it's like, oh, it's a buzzsaw, and then you'll go to the vendor and he has 3 items out. One of them's, oh, it's a buzzsaw.
It's a buzzsaw.
With like
the other 2 are also buzzsaws. Weirdly enough.
Also, the merchant is a buzzsaw.
Yeah, but just like. Again,
and then you move your hands away from the controller and let go of them, and your hands have also
your hands are buzzsaws.
You can never love again.
There definitely was a time though where like both my sub weapons were the same thing, probably the buzzsaw. So I'm just like, you guys feel like there's a little more variety needed here. Like even when you have like, oh, this one freezes an enemy on impact, or this one burns an enemy. Like all the debuffs kind of feel similar.
Yeah,
because everything is just pointing towards kill enemy as fast as you can, because I think everything is really just you just want to kill the enemy before they can do anything.
Yeah, because the enemies are for the most part set to be to have the most annoying patterns imaginable.
Yeah. And then a lot of the perks are like built around parrying, and I have no interest in doing that way. I don't even know how to parry.
I don't remember how to parry.
There's parrying?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You got him now. You got him.
I mean, there's a shield or something. I don't know if you're... Yeah.
I literally played all of Dark Souls and Demon Souls without parrying at all. And then I got through... and then I played Luca, and I was like, oh, I figured this out. And then I played Ys 8 and Breath of the Wild and just kind of broke them by being really good at parrying. It was fun.
To be fair, Ys 8's window for parrying and flash moves and flash blocks
wide.
They're real big. It's like Dust and Elysian Tale times 4 wide.
Okay, John, if you want parrying, let me tell you about a game called Sekiro.
Oh, baby. There's so much parrying.
Some height windows in that one.
Also a game called Bloodborne, which I have.
Oh no, Sekiro is way...
Sekiro is like the entire way to actually win. You have to win by parrying.
Yeah, it's way more in that one. Whereas like in Dark Souls, the final boss fight, you can kind of cheese it by parrying, but you can win normally. Sekiro is like, if you can't parry, you're just not getting past like the first boss.
Yeah.
Like the rhythm in that game is not attack. It's literally figure out like the rhythm of the boss's attacks and like parry, and then attack. Like, it's literally parry the game. So yeah, I kind of run against a wall in Dead Cells and was like, okay, I'm gonna move on to something else. Okay. I played Sunset Overdrive.
This was so weird.
Oh, tell us about this.
This is not one This one caught me off guard because I was like, huh. Because literally nobody I know has played this, and all of the reactions that I've seen to it have been pretty fucking middling.
It's weird. Like, I definitely see the cracks in this game, but everything about it still kind of completely worked for me. Because someone on Twitter was like, "Hey, this is one of my favorite games ever," and it's $4.99 on Steam, and I'm just like, "Fuck it, that's a good price."
That's a good endorsement for a favorite game ever. Like if somebody says that something is their favorite game and it's $5, I'll probably give it a fair chance.
For former $60 game. Also, apparently, this game had like a season pass, and this is included in the Steam version.
Oh wow!
So like, it's the most game you can get for
for $5. But man, has anybody ever stopped to think how AAA games are garbage with this kind of season pass bullshit?
Oh yeah.
Like Doom Eternal is not like Doom Eternal's Steam page is nonsense.
Yeah, I was showing Polly the Doom Eternal one where it's like literally the season pass on the Steam sale, like the Christmas or the Thanksgiving one. The season pass was $30, no discount. The game and season pass was $30. So if you hadn't purchased the game yet, it was basically free with season pass. It was even like 30 cents less to have not bought the game already.
It's so stupid.
That's happened to me though, where I bought Skyrim for like $7.50, which seemed like a good deal, but then the expansions were like $15, and never went on sale.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, I see what you guys did.
You fucking asshats.
It's so common, like especially on the consoles, like DLC just will not go on sale or season, and so yeah, you gotta wait for complete editions and crap.
So what's Sunset Overdrive, Rhett?
Sunset Overdrive feels like the Saints Row game that did not actually come out this generation.
Oh man, that just stirred something inside of me right now.
Because it's like it has. I'm trying to think about how to word this one. It has a style and a mood to it, and it's a little exhausting because it is that mood the entire time, 100%. Where it's just like it's this punk rock aesthetic and like the music all fits in that. There's no cars in this game or no radio or anything, so it's just always playing the same couple of songs and like increasing the intensity and the volume as you combo and stuff. But like the humor and the writing and like the overall vibe of the game, it really did kind of remind me of Saints Row 4-ish, because Saints Row 3 is a little vulgar. Saints Row 4 was much more kind of irreverent and like patting itself on the back. This game is also the same kind of like it doesn't break the fourth wall a lot, but when it does, it's pretty funny. Like your character at one point will just say, "Oh, that's really far away. Good thing there's fast travel in this." And like it's cheesy, but it doesn't do it enough that it's annoying.
Right.
Because if it did it constantly, like it would be really annoying.
Yeah, like I feel like Saints Row 4 was a little too self-aware in that department.
Yeah. Like this game acknowledges a video game, but not constantly. But it does acknowledge that it's all very silly and dumb.
Right.
And like, so this is it's an open world game by Insomniac, who did Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man afterwards. And the guns in this also feel like straight out of Ratchet, basically.
Yes. Guns and Ratchet feel incredible, if you didn't know.
Like, one of the first guns in this is like, it shoots out records, literal, like, play music on them records that bounce between enemies. And I'm just like, boy.
That's literally a Ratchet gun.
Yeah, this really feels like the buzzsaws in Ratchet, huh?
As my god, you can't escape the buzzsaws, Rhett.
God damn it.
Continue.
So, I will say this game's not perfect, though. The one big problem is that, like, the upgrade or buying new guns, really expensive for some damn reason. And, like, the upgrading, and, like, because as, like, in Ratchet, when you use guns, they get stronger over time. It's a little bit slower than I would have liked, though.
Aww.
For someone who's just, mainlining the main story, like...
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to fucking do boring open world stuff. I did a tiny bit, and it was just like, here's some hoops to jump through.
Oh, boy.
And a couple side missions that were, like, a little pedantic. What I did realize about the side missions towards the end of the game, though, is that all you actually have to do is just talk to somebody to turn them on, and they'll just be in the world afterwards. Like, you don't have to go to a menu and be like, oh, I want to do this mission now.
Oh.
Like, they'll just be there in the world active anytime after that, which hey, maybe if I had stumbled on them, I would have done them at that point.
Maybe that's something that they should have made a little more upfront.
Yeah, maybe. So the real aspect of this game that really impressed me is the movement, because almost everything is a grind point.
Oh, that was kind of like the big thing about this game, is that like getting around it, like just getting around in style and like making your combat stylish at all times was kind of the big selling point.
Yeah, like literally this game, again, one of the self-aware things, they make the floor is lava joke at one point. Because this is a game where you can just get around the entire city jumping around on like, electrical wires or rooftops, grinding the entire time and never actually touching the ground.
Yeah.
And it just feels really good. And it feels like nothing I've ever played before, where in combat scenarios, you're just literally constantly grinding. Like, and then a lot of stuff has real big bounce pads and stuff. Basically, like if there's a car, when you jump on it, you'll just go like 20 feet into the air. Everything that could remotely be bouncy is bouncy. Like, oh, there's an umbrella over there. Boing.
Boing.
There's a tire on the ground. Boing.
Like, it sounds like they did the idea was to make everything as fun as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, if it's not actively contributing to keeping the player in kinetic motion, then it's not good. So make it bouncy.
Yeah, so virtually everything is either a bounce or a grind.
Fantastic.
And it just feels very different when you're able to like style and like be moving. Not like a Tony Hawk game, but it is definitely more kinetic and like keeping that flow going while also doing third-person shooter stuff at the same time. It's very interesting. Like, I haven't really quite played anything like it.
It sounds like that would be a nightmare to try and control. That's something that always struck me about the game. It's like, I love the idea, but trying to, like, manage grinding and doing tricks while also having to engage with a third-person shooter sounds absolutely nuts. I don't know how that would work.
The auto-aim on your guns is very strong.
Okay, good.
Basically lock on, and it'll have like a little red icon on an enemy if it's going to shoot them. And as well, like if you left trigger, time slows down a little bit. Like the grinding is not super fast, so you're not like flying around 100 miles per hour. Like there's a boost button if you do want to go fast, but you can also slow down time a little bit. Like it is much more manageable than it could seem like on paper.
Okay, that's
But at times, like when you get your flow broken, or like when like there's basically like the tank from Left 4 Dead is basically in this game. When he hits you and you fall off the rail, and things can get pretty chaotic real quick when you're trying to regain
your momentum back.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a really fun game, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then I beat it, and so I'd seen prior to beating it, like, oh, there's a thing over here. It's like another mission, and when you activate it, goes, this has spoilers for the end of the game because it's it's a post game thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Oh god, there's one joke in this that has not aged. You beat the game and the credits start playing, and your character walks out in front of them and goes, that's the ending? What the hell? NeoGaf is gonna have a field day. And I'm like, oh no.
That aged like milk.
Yeah. It's definitely a game of like, I mean, this came out in like 2014, 2015, I think. Like it was a Xbox One launch game, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
But
which
that
is weird
definitely,
since it's Insomniac.
Yeah, they've since been purchased by Sony.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they were not. They were.
That's still very funny.
Like they worked with Sony a lot, like obviously the Ratchet and Clank games, but like they were never actually officially owned by them until pretty recently.
I think them doing Sunset Overdrive and only doing it on Xbox was their bid to get bought, I think.
Kind of. Or, hey, money talks. I mean, Microsoft made an offer. So yeah, I beat the game, did the DLC mission, and then so another thing, sorry, I'm all over the place. The one real cool thing about this is that all the bosses are like part of the open world.
Ooh.
So it really plays up to that movement thing of like, because the movement is so fun and the bosses are all part of that. Like, that's the thing about open world games a lot of the time, is that open world games at their worst are just a hub.
They're just a hub with a checklist.
Yeah. So like when the final boss is this huge thing jumping around the city itself and you're chasing after it, that's good use of open world. So the fact that like
dope.
Yeah. And then like it lands in certain places, now you have to grind up the final boss to get the hit on it, and like again, there's a lot of like chasing set pieces, like there's one on a train track and stuff, and like stuff like that always uses the open world in like fun and clever ways, I think. So I beat the game, then I did the DLC one, and then of course the boss of that was also in the open world. And then there's another expansion pack mission, like a whole like 2 hours of story stuff, nice. And I was just like, geez, this game just kind of keeps going, huh? And I will say that one was a little annoying because they kind of tuned the difficulty too high. Like it's based on enemies that only really appear towards the end of the game, and then there's like double strength versions of those in that area, where it's just like, because the whole game is like fighting zombies, and like as long as you stay in the air, the zombies can't really do shit to you on the ground.
You're good.
Whereas the whole DLC is about the corporate robots that are able to shoot back at you and do a very good job of doing so. So you really, really have to keep moving, and so it gets a little hard, a little annoying. But there's one part where I'm like, what? And each of your guns does more or less damage to certain enemy types. So it's like I should probably make sure to use all the anti-robot ones here.
Yeah.
Which helped a little bit. But then, basically, what I do want to say, though, is that the final boss of that expansion was so fucking good. I was like, oh my god, this is like true final boss of a JRPG moment, where it's like it has supplanted the original final boss in my mind. It's like climax of that game. Like, it's so dumb, but it's so funny. And like the theme of that game is mostly on point, where the story is that a soft drink turned everyone into zombies.
Yep.
Which is really goofy, but then it's like, oh yeah, the company knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it really does have this whole anti-capitalism, anti-corporation bent to it.
Yeah, it's like, because like this is a system that's been selling us out for years. So like this is speaking truth to power.
Yeah. So of course, and like the soft drink company is the ones behind quarantining the city itself, and then they're gonna like kill everybody inside with these robots. It's like, oh okay,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's a goofy soft drink thing, but then it turns into like a realistic dystopia. There's like literal walls that say "invisible wall" on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you get close, like the edge of the game world, when you get close to it, like a wall, like a neon field will pop up, and it just says "invisible wall."
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So the last thing was that for my player character, which I didn't know this game had, a character creator.
Mm-hmm.
I just made Polly, and she just fit with the whole game so well. I was shocked.
I don't actually have to make the next Polly game anymore.
Yeah. It was just this accidental thing, because it basically gave you an option for a hair carrot. Mm-hmm. So it's like, because I picked red hair, and then it was like, do you want to have a second color? And I'm like, oh, if I do yellow, this really looks like a pretty good Sayara Poly up in here. Yeah. Guess I'll do that instead.
The whole attitude of the game seems to just fit perfectly as well. And it just
totally fucking worked.
I love that kill everything in
Yeah. She's trying to cheer somebody up, and she's like, well, when I'm sad, I kill everything.
God, like the poppy kind of punk style this game has, though, it's immediately eye-catching. Like, this is something I might want to check out, I think.
There was one thing towards the start, like the tutorial is a little rough.
Right.
Like the first couple hours, I was not sold on it. There was just a point, though, where it started to like, okay, I get this.
Get where we're going now.
I think I had to do one of the second mission like 3 times, because first was a bug, and then second time something. At second time, I think it's like it takes away your control to show you something in the menu, but if you hit space too quickly or hit start button or whatever too quickly, you'll accidentally cancel out of it, and then it just locks up at a point later on.
Oops.
Because it's like, go into the menu and equip this perk. And then I did it. but like if you skip the thing, it hasn't unlocked the ability to equip a perk yet. Like dumb shit.
It's like there's a moment in the PC version of Plague of Shadows where if you buy an upgrade at a certain point, you actually soft lock the game, and they never fixed it. They never fixed it.
Oh
no!
They never fixed that, but they fixed like a bunch of out of bounds skips and shit. But they never fixed the soft lock.
Weird.
Which is funny when you consider how many times they've had to update that fucking game.
Is that kind of weird.
That's fucking wild. I didn't know about that until this week because a friend of mine.
Oh really?
He speed runs it, and he was telling me about how one of the yacht club guys used to frequent his stream when the game came out because he was the only person speed running it at the time, and he showed them this glitch many times, and they just patched everything except that.
He's just watching the streams to see the skips so you could fix them.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was.
God. I've one more game I want to hit real quickly.
Let's go.
I played The Missing, J.J. Macfield, I think, in the Island of Memories.
Okay. Let's go. Let's dive in.
Yeah,
let's hear it. Let's hear what Sweary's been up to.
I think he played Limbo.
Yeah. I get that from it.
So, the real short version of this is that 80% of that game is Limbo, and it's a little more annoying than I think it should be, and it's more mechanically engaging because there is more to it going on than just Limbo's like push-pull, button-push stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like, the areas are a little more challenging, a little more puzzly, frustrating. Like, got to think about. There's one involving like standees that even when I saw the answer, I was like, what the fuck? This is kind of strange. Like the standees in like the bowling alley.
Oh god, that one. Yeah, there's at least one more. I needed to look up a guide, and
that's the one I had to look up. So I had to look up that one. Plus, there's like 3 standees that have nothing to do with it, just in the same area, and so it makes you think you have to bring them over. And that's like not the answer at all. So there's one puzzle that's kind of a miss. So I was like, this game's okay. Don't know quite what people saw in it. So that's the first 80%. And then the last 20% just fucking nails it. And I cried a whole bunch. So I think that game's all right.
Yeah, that's the general consensus I seem to hear about it. It doesn't sound like a game for me. It sounds like the puzzle stuff would just probably annoy me, but it sounds like it's coming from a pretty good place. And I know that Swery had, at least with this game, Swery had people, in his ear letting him know, hey, this is a sensitive topic. Maybe you should be careful. Whereas with Deadly Premonition 2, it's just, you know what, I made my decision. Oh, no.
I forgot that this was the same guy.
Yeah, it's Swery 65.
Oh, fuck.
It's weird.
That's unfortunate. Because, I was, like, kind of on edge of my seat, like, ready to be really mad at this game.
When's the shoe gonna drop?
Because there's a point where you think it kind of has a fake-out ending that's going to be really bad, and I was like, ooh, this better not be how it ends, huh? And then it's not, obviously. Ah, man, that's unfortunate about fucking Deadly Premonition 2, though.
Yeah.
Because I know the stuff he said about that one was very,
It was, like, the fact that he had a moment where he was like, you know what, you're right, I'm going to go look at this. I probably needed to talk to people about it. And then literally a day later was like, nope, fuck it, I'm right. We're not changing anything, fuck off. Like, oh, wow, that's real shitty, my dude.
Yeah, that's rough.
Oof.
I don't know whether it's a matter of he wanted to go change it, but the studio was like, dude, you ain't sold like 500 copies of this. And we're not giving you the money to fix shit. It costs $40,000 to patch.
I don't know if Switch pays that. That was an Xbox thing, I think.
That was Xbox and Sony, at least. I know that they require $40,000 to patch.
Christ. Every indie dev is just like, excuse me?
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. But
I don't have $40,000 budget.
It's like, it's very clear that these systems are only implemented for AAA companies in mind, so... Yeah.
So, I enjoyed The Missing. But yeah, as a
Yeah, I had a really good time with that too. I thought I had my favorite story of the three inside Limbo and The Missing.
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Was my
have
experience.
you played Inside?
I didn't play Inside.
I played Inside, which I liked more than Limbo.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought Limbo's story was dumb. I didn't care about
No,
it.
I think by far the story in Limbo is
yeah.
the weakest.
Yeah.
I think The Missing is the only one that really has something to say.
Yeah.
But I think some of the theming in Inside is fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Inside is sort of like what it feels complete in a way that Limbo doesn't,
Yeah.
but The Missing
Yeah.
is still like a way more moving story.
Yeah. Because it actually is a story as opposed to the other two just being
exactly.
mood pieces.
We are mood pieces, yeah.
We got some creepy imagery. Hope you enjoy it.
Everybody, they're
Yeah.
dead. Everybody's dead. It's Limbo. Get it? Limbo. It's called Limbo because they're dead, but
Crosses
they
the
haven't
river.
they haven't moved on yet.
Limbo would have been so funny if it just actually looped and didn't say anything.
Yeah, like
It
that
just-
would have been perfect.
If it just sent you back to the start of the game and never actually
Never
ended.
acknowledged it. Never, no pop-ups, nothing. Just you start the game again.
People would
And I
be
think
so
that would have been
mad.
the best artistic statement. Like, it would have
Yeah.
been perfect.
It's called Limbo, goddammit. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. For
I love
games.
that y'all have been beating that specific. I love that y'all have been beating that specific drum since like 20.
Yeah.
Since like 2000.
I was so mad
Like
because everything right before the loop happens in Limbo was great,
Yeah.
and then that ending was just
Just shits its pants. Oh, man. So close.
the thing at the end of Inside is very fun.
Oh, I remember you talking about
Yes.
that. Yeah, that sounded real good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's wild. I think at the end of Missing is very good.
Yeah, in a
It's a lot
totally,
of feelings.
totally different way.
Yep.
So, John, what have you been up to?
Well, I thought I would share with you all another segment, another edition of the Game Maker's Toolbox.
Oh, the Game Maker's Toolbox.
We're gonna have to workshop this name.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's fine. We're going to trademark
No,
this
like-
probably next week, I think. It'll be fine.
I think it's perfect.
The Game Maker's Toolbox, TM. The game.
So last time we talked about Flick Game. It
Yeah,
was
we
lovely.
did. We did.
And I made one.
You made one.
You did. You made a Flick Game. And now Flick Game is very, very simple and straightforward. So we're actually going to get a little more complicated this week.
Okay.
Now I hope it's not overwhelming, but there may actually be some like a little bit of coding stuff involved.
Do I have to
I want to
math?
show you all. Not really.
Okay, we're good.
minimal
'cause
mathing.
I'm very
I'm gonna show
anti-math.
you all.
I'm very anti-math.
I think it's going to be Polly's favorite of the bunch for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about Puzzle Script.
Oh, Puzzle Script! Yay! We make puzzle games.
We make specifically block pushing puzzle games.
Oh,
Although
okay.
you can get especially you can get weird with it, but that is definitely what it's made for is block pushing puzzle games.
Oh, good.
This is another tool by Incompare, just like Flick Game was.
Right.
And if you go to that link I posted in the Twitch chat, here I'll post it in the Discord too. You can see two big buttons here, one called Make a Game and one called First Steps. I think you should
All right.
open up both of those in tabs.
Okay. I'm going to open both of those in tabs.
If you open up Make a Game, it actually just opens up the editor.
Oh my god.
And the cool thing with puzzle scripts, and of course everyone here should join along,
Yeah.
play along at home. We've got all of the game is completely contained in the text editor,
Yep.
including all of the art.
This is fun. I've played around with it. I've played around with this before in making little cute pixel dudes and stuff. It's really cute.
Mm-hmm. It is cute. If you go up to Load Example in the top left corner, you can see a bunch of different little games.
Mhm.
And you can see how all the art is represented as a 5x5 pixel tile.
Yep.
It can do transparency, and you can do different colors. You can do hex colors if you want. All of the rules have a very simple if you go under rules, you see like, hey, here's how we define a player moving a crate. When a player moves into a crate, both the player and the crate move. in any direction
Yeah,
that
you
it's going
create
to.
really simple rule sets.
Exactly. And then and basically the nice thing is that you don't have to really understand how the rules work, because you can just copy them from other games, because there's a whole bunch of them. There's a bunch of different examples. You can not really have to figure out the programming logic and just steal from everything else. And you can do so much cool shit just with that. If you go into that rules documentation, you can see simple examples explaining how this all works. And you can see like, oh shit, there's a bunch of cool shit I can do with this.
Yeah, this isn't.
If you go down,
this isn't
not too hard.
It's on the nose. It can seem. I mean, like if you go to make a game, if you click that button first, you're probably going to have yourself an aneurysm. If you've never coded or anything before, you're probably going to scare the crap out of yourself. So don't click the make a game button first. Click first steps and have a look.
Yeah, you got a bunch of different simple rules. And then basically my arc with it has been, I want to do something, and then I'll Google it, and then like, I want to do pathfinding. Okay, let me Google that. Oh, here's a person with a pathfinding algorithm. Let me just copy paste that in. Cool. Now I have a spider that chases you. It's great. So here I think is a cute, fun sample game, just for the first couple levels.
Okay.
I'm gonna post that in here. This is called Unconventional Guns.
I do like guns.
Yep.
And these are supposedly unconventional. All right.
And it also...
Oh no, zombies. Oh, you got it.
This one has survival horror controls.
Yes, it does!
But that's because in this one, direction is actually important.
Oh, that's a fine-looking gun.
That is a great gun. Fantastic gun.
Oh, that's a very unconventional gun.
That's an unconventional as fuck gun.
Wait, there we go.
Google unconventional. If you're listening along at home, just go.
Oh, I ate myself.
I ate myself. Yes.
And play the snake gun game.
Okay. Snake gun game is pretty goddamn good, I've got to say.
It tells you what to
There you
do on
go.
the floor. I just realized.
Yeah, it tells you what to do.
I was like, ooh, this is quite a tricky one.
Nope.
The
it out.
rest of the podcast is
Go
just
ahead.
us playing this
It's just
game.
us playing snake gun game and boring ourselves.
If you go to puzzlescript.net and click the gallery, you can see just a whole bunch of. They have pretty GIFs of all these different puzzle script games. So you can just like whatever you look. I played like dozens of these, and I've had a really good time doing it because people have such varied art styles and such varied approaches. There's a couple people that even took advantage of the format where instead of just going from screen to screen, it's one big world that you move between. So you can actually do a world like ZZT or other touchstones people have for games in which you move between, like Zelda.
That's honestly pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah. So it's a pretty wide. There's one creator I know that over the course of like a year created like 80 different puzzle script games.
Oh,
Just exploring like a ton of different rules.
Yeah, I think you were retweeting those when they were releasing or something. I remember that. I remember somebody going crazy making a bunch of puzzle script games.
Yeah. I'll Google that when we're on break and post that in the chat somewhere.
Right.
So yeah, I've been exploring another little idea. But you can have little text interludes between the levels too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot you can do with this. You can tell little stories. You can make little puzzles. You can explore the wide possibility space of pushing blocks on a grid. Because there's a lot you can do with that, as it turns out.
My favorite. Just pushing blocks is my thing. I can't.
You know, I was block pushing, and then I played Snake Gun, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, Snake Gun's pretty good because it makes me not think I'm pushing blocks.
Victory, thy name is Snake Gun.
Victory, thy name is Snake Gun.
Oh,
Who
wait.
would have known?
I got to the third level of Snake Gun, and there is a block you can push.
Uh-oh. I think we might have run it. We might have found the fatal flaw of Snake Gun.
Oh man, the snake also pushed the block.
Well, we're done. We're out. This is too many rules for me.
I have a practical pick, and I'm so practical because I keep things simple.
That's me. That's literally me.
So puzzlescript.net. If you want to make me personally very happy, go make a thing in it and at me about it.
If you want to play a good example, go play Spider's Hollow.
There you go. Yeah, I can plug my own.
You can plug your own. That's allowed.
That's allowed.
Or play Snake Gun.
It's a snake gun's pretty good too. An unconventional gun.
I really like Spider's Hollow still. I'm very happy with how that turned out.
You should count yourself thankful that I finished that.
I know, because that one gets a little tricky near the
It
end.
really does.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's it for me for this little segment. I just wanted to share with y'all.
You just wanted to break out the Game Maker's toolkit or toolbox.
Toolbox. My bad.
Sorry, Polly. I don't know what the hell you just said.
I don't know what that was. I mean, I think that would be a much worse name for it.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Because you open up the toolbox.
You open up a toolbox, and then there's a bunch of cool game ideas and features and engines in there for you to use.
Level 4 has werewolves.
Oh shit! But does it have blocks?
It has a block. It's 2 blocks, 2 werewolves, and a zombie.
Oh damn!
This is some intense puzzling.
There you go.
Oh whoa! The werewolf ate the zombie.
Oh shit! There's a whole new rule set here we did not know about. We did not anticipate.
We did not anticipate wolves eating zombies.
Uh-oh. Level 5. I'm almost out of snake bullets.
You can play Spider's Hollow at farawaytimes.itch.io. I think it's pretty cute. That's one of the games I like show people as just like hey, you got 5 minutes. Let's take a look at one of my games. It's like at parties and stuff, you know. It's very fun.
Everybody wants to play the horny spider game at a party.
First dates. Coworkers. And that's my segment. Polly.
All right.
Hey. Man. So yeah, if you want to go to puzzlescript.net if you want to make video games. So you do that. Just one last time there for him. So all right.
So a couple weekends ago, in fact, it would be 2 weeks to tonight actually.
We put the cap on a big old project we've been working on for almost half a year. We finally put it to bed, ladies and gentlemen. We finally put Higurashi When They Cry streams to bed. With the end of Matsuri Bayashi. Man. Oh man. I knew that game's ending was like big, loud, and cathartic. I don't think that I expected just how big, loud, and cathartic that entire 7-hour final chapter would be.
That final chapter is big. We broke it up into 3 streams. But it's about 7 hours. And the last 7 hours of that game, there's no downtime. It's going at 110 miles per hour the whole damn time. It's ridiculous. Like coming into the mains, like I think especially if you're coming from the anime, I think that this is something that that pervaded the anime version, especially for the final arc. It's easy to see how things in the main story of this chapter are kind of like they're coming together in really contrived ways, where like all of the right things are happening this time around. Like all of the everything to put the protagonists in a position to achieve the ending that they want to achieve. All of the pieces are falling into place perfectly. So like the anime has to kind of rush through these moments, whereas the visual novel, it's taking its time to help you kind of understand why each of these moments is important and how through like retaining knowledge of the previous chapters and growing as people, these characters were able to earn this moment and these things going right, and kind of like so while it might come off as contrived, I feel that like
they've earned the right for all the things to kind of fall into place the right way that they do to set up this final chapter. And I think that it's also like in that way where everything starts coming together in a nice way for once, where we have a feasible chance of victory. I think that is also kind of very considerate of the players' invested time. Like, we feel we've grown with this story. We've learned just as much as these characters have learned. So, like, it feels like you're being rewarded in a way when they start helping stack the deck a little more in our favor, despite the fact that our enemy is still just this big, monolithic, scary thing. But the entire and while I do love the entirety of the final arc, I think that it does come down to these last 7 hours, and this last final chapter where like the action is fantastic. The dialogue, it's top notch from start to finish, and like all of these big moments that come for the protagonist and the antagonists alike. Like, everybody in the game has this big moment, whether it's big and dramatic, big and cathartic, big and just overbearingly soul-crushingly sad. Everybody gets really big moments to shine and soar in a way that just kept punching me emotionally, and like, I already knew this story. Like, that's the thing that just keeps astonishing me, is like, I already know this story, but I'm sitting there and I'm on the verge of weeping at how masterfully handled these big moments are, and just how well this story comes together, and how he's able to kind of make everybody's story matter. Like, even if like they're a character that probably doesn't deserve a bunch of sympathy because they've done some real bad things, they make it understandable, and like, it's weird. It's I usually get sick of people writing the moral gray area, I guess, but I feel that like there's a gray area that they kind of tackle with the series antagonist that it feels earned. Sayara would disagree. Sayara's just like, fuck that character.
He'll give you 34 reasons why.
He will give you 34 reasons. But like,
you read your words and deeds? No,
I don't. But by the time like those final credits are rolling, and you realize that, you know, you finished this big thing, and that like the moment that really hit for me was when one of the characters started talking about like the days that they're going to experience after June 1983. And you don't really think about that in the like when you're playing through these games. That's the farthest thing from your mind, because all you're thinking about is, okay, it's just like, if we fuck up, it's June again. But now it's just like you have this moment of just like, what does happen after, you know, like, and there's this big rush of emotions you get that's just like, oh, these characters were fighting for their futures, and you know that. It's not like I'm stupid and didn't know that. It's just the enormity of that moment of like, oh shit, like, no, we won, and we will see July and August and September, like, life will finally go on. And it's just like, you're being let go, like, as the player, like, you're like, it's a big cathartic Trails moment where you finish one of those series, like, where when you get to the end of the third and you're saying goodbye, it's just like, that's kind of how Higurashi left you, is that like, you're saying goodbye to these characters that have been through a whole lot.
8 games.
Eight freaking games.
160 hours of streaming, I think you said.
Almost 160 hours. I don't know how people stuck with this, because this isn't something that when I did it the first time, it was kind of just a joke. Like, when I did the first stream, it was I'm gonna make you come here, and I'm just gonna sit here and read for 2.5 hours, and then it's just like, oh, fine, we'll just do it again. We'll see how long the joke goes, and then by that point, it's like, okay, we're halfway through Onikakushi. I think we probably have to commit here. And I think that like probably about 3/4 through Onikakushi, it was just like you kind of looked at the realization, oh, we're just gonna do all this, aren't we? Huh. And then to kind of like to have finally hit the end of that felt real weird because I felt real empty for like two or 3 days after, because you look at the clock, it's almost 7:00. It's like, all right, time to go not do Higurashi tonight. Huh. That's weird. It's over. Like it had become this big thing for a lot of us. But I think the bottom line is that this that I came to though is that like 14 years later, like this story is just really special. That's why it hits the way it does. Like anything that I thought that this story might have lost in revisiting it, just completely thrown out the window. Like it's doing and saying so much about so many important things. Yep. But at the same time, it doesn't at any point in time ever forget to entertain you as well. Like it's going to have those big moments where it's commentating on child abuse, where it's commentating on divorce, where it's commentating on being stuck in an endless loop of June 1983. You know, all very common things that people experience. Yeah. But it never at any point forgets that it needs to be entertaining as well.
On getting pulled.
Run that by us again, you roboted.
Oh, okay. I said on financial abuse, on getting pulled into QAnon, on...
I know, the ways this hit, like, specifically 2020 stuff was also weird.
It's...
Like,
yes.
When a character is, like, attending a meeting of nationalists, like, you're like, oh,
and they're
wow,
and they're floating these wild conspiracy theories. Like, it's just... Mm-hmm. I think it just goes to show that, like, oh, okay, Higurashi is also timeless because this shit isn't new. Like this wild conspiracy theory wing of politics and people that get bought into these bullshit ideologies. It's not new. It's just way louder now. Like, you know.
Yeah. I swear, isn't there a part where they're like, we're going to make Japan great again?
Yes! They literally want to, quote unquote, make Japan great again. It's ridiculous. Like, this stuff isn't new, and it's a bummer that like it's both impressive and a bummer that things like that were written to be taking place in 1983 are hitting in 2020. This with the same impact. It's very scary, and it's unfortunate. But like
a little comforting.
But a little comforting as well. Yeah.
Well, at least it's not unprecedented.
Yeah, like at least like at least we know what we're dealing with in a way. Mm-hmm. But like being able to balance all that and also be entertaining, like that's such a balancing act to have.
So fun
to try and maintain that to have this cast of characters that we have to beat into oblivion, like we have to put them through the ringer of despair. But then we have to also kind of be able to pull them out in a believable way. And to manage to do that at the end, to make all of those individual character catharses stick. It's just a fucking masterclass. Like, I think that this is a masterclass in storytelling. Like, this is a story that just nails it. Like, there is not anybody that I know that I would not recommend these games to. It's like, yes, you look at that and your eyes glaze over at the fact that it's 8 individual games that by yourself will probably take 10 to 12 hours a piece. It took us 20 hours because we were streaming. So that's why it took us 160 hours. But it'll probably take you 10 to 12 hours if you're reading on your own. And I know that that's a lot to ask.
And you don't have to... And you don't have to commit. Just play Onikakushi. It's free.
Yeah.
Onikakushi is an absolutely stellar opening chapter. So if you are going to be bought into this, you'll be bought in by the end of that game. So you can just play that one, and then you'll know.
Yeah, and those games are probably going to go on sale again here at the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
And you can get Onikakushi for free until the coronavirus vaccines start rolling out. You can get that.
I was thinking about that though, like,
both on Steam and I think GOG.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You were thinking about that?
On GOG, it says like until a coronavirus vaccine is discovered, and I'm like, well, that's kind of happened now, huh?
I think that their wording might be a little.
I know,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh, like it's actually again, it's weird timing with you finally finishing the series. It's like, oh, it might be time for them to consider like, hey, maybe it's not free anymore.
Maybe we're yeah.
Like because a coronavirus vaccine technically has been discovered.
It's been discovered. Yeah. If we're gonna get technical about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they're waiting until it rolls out, then obviously we want to wait until. Never mind. Nope, never mind.
Beepner is like only if you recommend potato hand. We very specifically recommend the potato graphics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, no CGs. They don't have those.
There's a couple of
CG
CGs.
art.
There's a couple CGs in original
There's
Higurashi.
one.
It's very good.
There's exactly one. Yes. It's very good. Well, two if you could count the eyes.
Yeah, the eyes.
Higurashi.
Those kind of
Oh.
CGs. But
All right.
yeah, like
Okay,
I
you're
streamed
right.
that. I streamed that the way that I did because it made the streaming experience a bit more digestible, I think.
Yeah.
But I definitely prefer the old school filtered backgrounds and original Ryokishi sprites. So
I
that's
love the voices too, though. So
the voice acting adds so much, and you can just add the voices if you want.
that's cool.
Yeah. So if you want to use the 07th mod and just add voices to the original potato graphics, you can do that. It's very good. But yeah, so we finished that, and it was a trip. Like it was like these past 6 months have absolutely been just. It's been amazing to have that to come home to, or to have that be able to fill up your evening.
It's been such a fucking blast, Polly.
Yeah, and we
had a
are
really
going to
good
do a wrap podcast for the series as a whole to finish off our discussions for Mina Goroshi and Matsuri Bayashi. We're going to be planning that sometime this week. We're going to try and get that done sometime soon. We're going to have to break it up into 2 parts, I think, because
God.
there's a lot to tackle on
big
each
arcs.
of those. So
I joked probably that you should do another one right after Minagoroshi, and you were like, nah. And now it's like, oh, I guess
I
it is.
really wish we had. But yeah, we're gonna have to break that up over 2 nights. But I'll probably just stitch it together as one big 5-6 hour episode.
Fantastic.
As for what we're doing visual novel wise, streaming after that, I'm taking a break. I'm not committing to anything right now.
Yeah, you were like, Neko in January. And I'm like, fuck out of here, you are.
No, I'm not doing Umineko in January. If I do anything, like I do have Steins Gate Elite that I do want to hit, and I think that would be a fun one to do. And there's some smaller ones that I want to sprinkle into to kind of break up, because man, who wants to go into another big 8-game series? Just woof, that's a bit much. We might go ahead and wait till May to that.
It starts.
Yeah, sure.
You're beginning it. I think I saw one friend start Love Love and then just bounce. I was like,
yeah, I saw one person bounce. Yeah, almost
I'm
immediately
like, well, all right,
too.
It's got it. I'm still the destined hero who will bring us in 2022. That's the year we all get really into Love Love.
There you go. Finally, the Sockscast approval.
I've got catch up to do. I need 2022 is when I play it and I'm like, no, y'all, seriously, it's gonna be slow because you got to get through the first 2 games, but then the third game is actually really worth it.
Wait,
and
I
then
thought
y'all
the
are
second game was at least also good. It's just the first game that is a slog.
well, they sell the first 2 games as one game on
Yeah,
Steam.
it's
Oh, right.
So it is, so yeah, just get through the first 2 games, then the third game, it's actually really good, and then like a year later, one of you will join in, and then the third one will be like, oh, fine.
Be like, now it'll just be like, Rhett, now read like the first 4 hours of that house in Fata Morgana.
I promise you, I'm going to get back to that someday.
Just don't read Requiem. Just don't play Requiem.
Okay, that's easy enough. Easy enough.
So yeah, that's Higurashi.
Main lines it this week, and then it's
yeah,
number
there
1
you
on the
go.
list.
Yeah, just
No, I cut the list off.
The list is cut. Yeah, I cut mine off as well. Like I cut mine off
It's
after.
just that good, Rat.
I made a list called games I beat in 2021, and
You've already started it.
Yeah, The Missing is on there.
The Missing is now
one.
2021 candidate.
Yeah, I said the Sunset Overdrive was the line.
That's the line. Yeah. I passed my line this past week, so
yeah.
So that's Higurashi. That was an absolute blast. Like having a chat along for the whole ride for that, and everybody's reactions to everything. It just made that whole experience like it was an experience.
It was just a fucking blast.
I'm glad that I did that the way that I did. Like had I just read them by myself, I know I would have still enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. But having people along for that ride and getting bought in themselves felt real good.
It's like it's a dramatically bigger version of what you did last year with Eye of the Somnium Files.
It is a ridiculous, it is a monster version of what I did with Eye of the Somnium Files, and I think that it was just as fulfilling, just having people along and reacting. And I know that just as many people have contacted me and said, "Oh, I'm getting into Higurashi now," or "Oh, I'm gonna go check out like Umineko or something now." So that continues to spread like a disease, which is probably not the best way to describe things these days. So you'll forgive my terrible verbiage in explaining how people are just really starting to get into Higurashi, and it's great to kind of see this series still has so much life after all these years.
The Higurashi came out of your mouth and it just infected everybody else around you.
Exactly.
Wait, no.
So how about a 5-minute break?
Oh God, yes.
All right, we will be back in like 5 minutes.
I'm gonna get more lemon tea for my delicate wounded constitution.
What?
What? What? I think he said penis. What?
It's amazing how funny that voice is every time.
I could be a VTuber basically with that voice.
Oh God, could you? Okay, but could you do that voice for like 10 hours?
Yeah, I can do that voice for a pretty sustained period of time.
Because man, VTubers,
yeah.
some VTubers got some fucking stamina that boggles my mind.
20 hours of Assassin's Creed.
There was
That would be it.
No, John, that one has happened.
That actually happened.
No, I was thinking of the Poly VTuber stream.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Just get live 2D running.
Just live 2D, live stick poly head, like just the just the stick poly.
Like, I would do nothing, like, there would not be a character model. It would just be very simple. There's a poly head with it's the stick. It's just stick poly.
It just still needs to have a tiny bit of eye and mouth tracking to be
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, to be weird enough.
I like the one 40-hour stream demanding Doritos bring back
Fuck
Doritos
yeah!
3D.
Why did those ever go away? And why, when they brought Doritos 3D back, it was just a pale imitation? Did anybody else? Who else? Like, there's got to be somebody else out there in the world that misses Doritos 3D as much as I do.
I don't know if I miss them as much as you do, but I do remember them and miss them.
They were the coolest fucking thing. They were like Doritos, but they were like round. You know, like that spherical qualities.
I swear, I would like. It's been a while, but I remember like biting them in half and then like putting my finger in the open shell.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got triangle fingertips now.
Yeah. Why are they
Beagles?
gone? Why are they gone?
I don't know.
They were literally the best. Look
Are they
at
like
them.
Beagles?
I'm gonna save a picture and put them on the screen the rest of the stream. They're just gone.
Doritos 3D.
They're so good.
Doritos 3D Game Over.
No, those are not the right ones.
Directed by
You want like the ones that look like look.
Oh my god, these look so cool.
Look, they're so cool, right? That has to be it. Maybe they cost $800 million to make. Such a cool fucking
They look
chip.
like pizza rolls.
Yeah, exactly. They're like hollow pizza rolls, but they're Doritos instead.
Oh. What if you just took a bite and then injected molten chips into them? Injected molten cheese and meat into them.
Oh my god.
And then took a bite.
Maybe that's why they took them off the market, is that like somebody would eventually have that idea and we would literally, as a nation, become the, well, we already are the most obese, aren't we? Well, that's a moot point. But man,
and we'd also be the most delicious nation.
We would be the most delicious, and we can't have that. Like, nobody.
Zach says supposedly they will be returning in January. I don't know what your source is on that, Zach. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some sources on that. I'm gonna need some real hard sources.
I found a blog post.
I like the implication.
Go ahead. It says they're still made in Mexico.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to look at importing options.
There you go.
Some people are importing them.
I like the implication. I like the implication that Doritos already, flavor-wise, are already perfect. So the only way that they can be improved upon at all is by changing their shape or texture.
Exactly.
Because the taste experience of a Dorito is already, I think we all agree, the ideal chip.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's the best chip.
This is dated December 3rd, 2020 at 4 p.m.
What?
If the rumors are true, your favorite discontinued Doritos may be revived in the new year. Frito-Lay is reportedly starting up production of 3D Doritos once again, and the beloved 90s snack could make a comeback as early as January 18th. I have a reason to live.
Oh my god.
What brought up Doritos 3D? When did that come up?
I just like them.
So.
I think
No.
Paul- John, if you actually listen to the podcast, Paulie mentions them every single time.
Yeah, there's like a Doritos 3D. There's a Doritos 3D mentioned in every episode, John. Go through and find them. They're sprinkled in ever so lovingly.
All right.
I got you, Jetstorm. You were doing very good, Jetstorm. That shit's about to go crazy. But yeah, Doritos 3D, January 18th. Oh my god. That's so soon when you think about it. Kind of. It's like a late Christmas gift a month later.
Like tomorrow, and also 7 million years
They're,
from now.
they're literally doing it like 2 days off from another important event.
Oh, this far outshines that moment, I think. I think that I have found my inauguration.
Yeah.
This is my personal inauguration. I'm buying like 27 bags and eating them that night.
The healing can begin.
The healing?
January 18th.
Like, oh my god, it's just like, there's, like, this is a sign. This is a sign that good things are to come. If we can have Doritos 3D in the new year, I am happy to endure. I am happy to endure. If I can have Doritos 3D in January, I think my mind will finally start beginning to heal. I think my heart can finally let go of the stress. I think I can breathe the easiest sigh that I have breathed in months. I am renewed. I am renewed this very day.
And also,
This
Trump
is
won't
the
be
most blessed
president anymore.
section of the podcast ever.
John, it's in every episode.
He's 9. Thank you for that, Polly. That was wonderful.
Oh,
Now I want Doritos 3D.
They're so good. I promise you. I can't believe this is the happiest day of my life.
I wish I was eating fucking Doritos right now.
Oh man, I'm not gonna risk it. I was like, I'm gonna go out and get some after. No, I'm not going out. Fuck that. I'm not going to a store if I don't have to. Oh my god, Doritos 3D, you guys, they're coming back. Man. Okay. Brett!
Hi.
What else you been up to, buddy, old pal?
Did we get from VTubers to 3D Doritos?
I think Poncho mentioned them in the chat.
I think
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
think
do a
Polly
40-hour stream begging for them to come back, but
Oh,
apparently,
right.
Polly in another arc has already done that. So now
I
it's
remember-
just happening.
Atlas, please bring back 3D Doritos. I'm begging you.
I can't. I would say that I can't believe that I would say that I can't believe that a VTuber cried like had an hour and a half stream begging to be let play Persona 3. I would say I can't believe that, but I can believe that.
It's the most believable thing.
It's the
of this
most
year.
believable thing.
So, I mentioned it earlier. I played a lot of video games and watched a lot of anime.
You did.
So I talked about the video games.
Yeah, you did.
Let's talk about some anime.
All right, let's talk about
And
some
the
anime.
audience goes to sleep.
All right.
So when we last podcasted 3 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
I had just finished.
left our heroes.
So this is going back a bit. I almost forgot to mention this one. So I had just finished Yakuza 3,
Yeah.
which was the game that I was like, just blitzed through effortlessly because it was like a known quantity. It's a known franchise that I love.
And we were in the middle of Hell Week.
Yeah, right. So I finished Yakuza 3 and I was like, I am distraught. I have no idea what to do with myself. And then I saw something. I was like, you know what? I wanted to wait a little longer, but desperate times call for desperate measures.
I finally know what to do with myself.
Oh, fuck yes. Oh, fuck. I know what you did.
There was a button under a glass case. I smashed the glass case and smashed the button. I watched ReZero Season 2 Part 1.
Yes!
Oh, wow. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
So, I had wanted to wait a little bit longer because season 2, part 2 has not aired yet.
No, it's
which
not.
means I've got to wait like 3 or 4 more months because it's starting in January.
Yeah.
But I was desperate for something.
You need something.
And this was like the most obvious, like, guaranteed hit
Right.
that I could find in that moment. So
Absolutely.
between seasons 1 and 2, there are 2 movies that you have to watch, basically.
Oh. Didn't know
One
that.
of them, I know. There's a whole guide to watching the series now on.
Oh, good. That's what
It's
I
not-
love. That's what I love about real easily accessible anime is I need a guide
Hey.
to know how to watch it.
Okay, hey, here's what's easy. They're both on Crunchyroll. Like,
Okay.
it's not hard to find them. They're like, one of them's between like, so they did ReZero director's cut. It's just, it's season 1, but all the episodes are double length. They just
And
literally
Subaru
stitched
is
them
way
together.
cooler.
No, they just, because episode 1 was already like 48 minutes. They just
Yeah.
did that for every other episode.
Oh, whoa.
But they like didn't also add any new content. So whatever.
Wait, how the fuck do you increase episode length but literally add nothing?
No, it's like the previous episodes 2 and 3 are now all episode 2, and then the previous episodes
Oh.
5 and 6 are now episode 3.
That's dumb.
Yeah, so it's half the number of episodes. It's the same show. They just called it director's cut.
Oh, that's dumb.
I mean, is there other stuff to it? Did they like add like a tiny little bits of scenes or whatnot?
Apparently, extremely, extremely little.
Okay.
Anyways, there is the one. There's a movie that's like between 6 and 7. It takes place between the Mansion arc and kind of the rest of the series.
Mhm.
And I don't know. So it's about an hour long. It's good. It's funny. It's more comedy focused. It's the thing that has inexplicably a Konosuba reference,
Oh, yeah.
and they literally just show a couple frames from Konosuba.
They show frames from Konosuba, which is wild.
Which there's a whole thing
I
apparently.
mean, it's the same studio and the authors are friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a reason, but it was like, because when I saw it, I'm like, did he just make a Konosuba reference? And then I realized, oh, not only that, they just literally used a few frames from the show because like Subaru just mentions like the Ice Shogun for some reason.
Yeah.
Very random thing. So that movie takes place between the Mansion arc and the rest of the show. Then the other movie is an Amelia flashback, like before she met Subaru and all of them.
Okay, that could be
And
interesting.
So the whole thing is like her and Puck, and it's really good.
Nice.
And so get to season 2, and let me tell you, season 2 has not won me over like season 1 did.
Uh-oh.
It is enormous amounts of setup so far. It is just because I think the back half of season 1 escalated so much
Oh, yeah.
to like
It goes
so hard to like end of the world being on the table and like just absolutely nightmarish scenario that he has to navigate out of.
Mhm.
So like I always kind of was wondering like how do you escalate from that, and I'm not sure. I think the author even also kind of knew maybe have to dial it back a little bit from end of the world being on the table and like the insane villains that he fights, and, like the whole whale thing and the villain after that.
The
who
whale was
quite the trip.
The whale was pointless.
The whale was so goofy. I will give you that one.
The whale was extremely cool.
Yeah.
Extremely cool.
But yeah, this whole season is focus on
this show, I think.
What'd you
I
say?
just joked. We're all in pristine agreement
yeah.
on every facet of this show.
Yeah. That John never brought up because Polly was going to get too mad. I will say though, I don't want to lead too much for because John hasn't watched it yet, but like season 2, it's a lot of the characters you maybe didn't like from season 1 that much.
Oh, no.
So it's really exploring some other characters. Like it kind of goes back to that Mansion crew a lot.
Oh, cool. So
Like-
Felix isn't in it at all. Characters you like, not in it. Great.
Felix is like not in it at all.
That's a bummer. Felix was a delight.
Yeah.
This is very good.
But there are other fan favorite characters that are not in this a whole lot.
Oh no.
But there are some new characters that are very popular, and like, again, I think exploring other characters like Ram is actually in it a lot. And what's
Well, of course, we haven't found a reason for Subaru to use her as kindling to make himself cooler yet. So
Yeah, we've already thrown Rim in the garbage, so
yeah,
Ram's still got some use. She hasn't been used yet.
you laugh, but you know it's true.
So like, there was definitely a point where like the number of ways things go bad in this arc and the number of possible directions they could go are kind of dizzying. And it's just like, I don't see a way out yet. So I definitely realized, like, as I was hitting like episode 10 or out of 12, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not this is definitely dragging into season 2 part 2, huh? There's no way they resolve.
Yeah.
When a writer writes themselves into that big of a corner, they've either got the confidence to do it or they made an oopsie poopsie.
So here's the one thing:
Mm-hmm.
the light novel readers like consider this the best arc.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for the second half, and like season 1 or season 2 part 1 is like one of the highest rated shows on my anime list right now.
yeah.
Because it's building. But like for me personally, hasn't won me over. But like I see the potential there. It's just it is spinning a lot of plates.
The thing that I get out of ReZero at this point is we're friends with Sean Chiplock, and like he's been getting just so much positivity from this new season that's been going out, and it's just been great to kind of see him get some positivity thrown his way for it, because he really did an amazing job as Subaru. If you go back and listen to some of that season 1 performance, just incredible.
Yeah,
holy crap! Yeah, he explained one of his experiences on the interview we did with him about nailing that one scene in one take, and it's just like, Jesus Christ!
I don't think your vocal cords have a second take, so yeah.
Yeah, you're done.
You better get it the first time.
Yep.
So what else did I watch? Oh, so there's a show on Netflix called Great Pretender. This is a spy... they're con men. It's a show about con men.
Isn't this the one where like the girl's trying to fool everybody or something? Or was that's Talentless? What's her name?
Yeah, that's Talentless Nana.
Okay.
That one.
Okay, that's a different show. Okay.
This is realistic kind of.
It has a look now.
It has a very cool look. It looks very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's about con men and like everything. There's always a trick to like what the characters are doing, and like the thing about the show is that the first 5 episodes, the first story arc, are like absolutely phenomenal. I was just like completely blown away by it. It is like they do like a full Breaking Bad in 5 episodes.
Oh yeah,
where like it starts really small, and then they're like, okay, we're just gonna go over here and trick this drug dealer, and then it escalates to the drug dealer being like, well, I'm not going to buy your product. I want you to manufacture it for me. And they're con men. They're like, the drug doesn't actually exist. What are we going to do? They're like, we're going to fucking make some for him. It's like,
oh my God.
I don't know how to make drugs. Well, you're going to learn how to do it.
Well, we just going to learn.
Oh, this is production IG. Nice.
It's and Studio Wit, which was the Attack on Titan.
Right.
Studio.
Like this is definitely some
this is quality looking shit here.
It's really good. It looks really cool. So like the first story arc, just I completely loved, and then the problem is it never hit that high again for me.
Oh no!
Every arc is a little bit slower than the previous one, and it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, you can run into that with shows that kind of go in arc.
Like Black Lagoon has a similar thing where you've got that opening arc and then the one after what might not be the greatest. And then there's that arc where they go to Japan that's really too slow.
This sounds kind of like it follows a similar formula.
Yeah. Especially because like the twist of the show is like they're always thinking a step ahead and like trying to fool you. So once, like, after the first story arc, you're kind of on the other side and you don't get fooled again. So it just kind of loses that energy, a bit of that energy and like shock value.
Mhm.
And then I thought it wrapped up fine. I saw a lot of people were actually pretty unhappy with the last 2 episodes.
Looks like they licensed a Freddie Mercury song for the ending theme too. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
It's
cool.
called, the song is called Great Pretender.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
the song. That's awesome.
Yeah, so the ending theme is also extremely good. So like, but it was just kind of a bummer that a show that went from like a 9 out of 10 to like, you know,
A 7.
an 8 or a 7.
Mhm.
But like everybody should watch that first 5 episodes, and then you'll get hooked on like I do. Well, surely the rest of it's going to be as good. And then I watched one more show. I'm doing these in 3s. I watched a show called Decadence. It's got a hyphen in it.
Okay.
DECA hyphen.
Oh, there it is.
Dense.
Yeah, okay.
So this show has
Oh,
a
interesting.
very, very generic concept to it,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like Earth has been destroyed. It's all
Yeah.
big, you know, desert wasteland. All of the survivors of humanity live in this giant roaming like tank thing.
It's a tank. It's literally a tank. The tank.
Called Decadence. And then there's these aliens,
Mhm.
you know, or foreign monsters that come out and they, you know, they hunt them to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like intentionally played straight.
Right.
And then the end of episode 1
Uh-oh.
throws a real big curveball. And a lot of people went, I'm not signed up for this. Dropped.
Oh no. Oh no.
And I was immediately like, oh yes, this is...
Well, is it just like, is it big, absurd, and stupid? Is that kind of what, like, that's the gist I'm getting. Big, absurd, and stupid seems to make people, like, want to
Yeah.
drop things.
But that's my jam, so...
Yeah, like, I love big
Yeah,
and stupid.
So exactly. Episode 2 has a line where they have to explicitly state, no, it's not that it's a virtual MMO.
Okay, good.
Also, Donatello is purple. Why is Donatello purple?
Oh, geez. I don't know what you guys are Googling.
I just looked at this. I looked at the show on my anime list, and there's a character named Donatello, and he's purple. I have no idea what I'm
Wait,
looking at, Rhett.
Isn't that the correct character? Donatello does wear purple.
He's purple. His skin is purple.
Oh, yeah. They're like
But you
enhanced
can't,
humans.
You can't see purple, though.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Look, I was just looking stuff up on my anime list, and a guy that had it's like, look, everybody else is normal human colored, and then this guy's purple. Okay, it was weird.
There are other colors.
Right.
There's like an orange guy.
Right.
Maybe not as out there as purple.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how to talk about the show. So like, there's a meta layer kind of thing going on here that I was definitely hooked into.
Right.
And then like on Wednesday, I just like blitzed through like 7 episodes in a row to finish it, and just had an extremely good time.
Nice.
Awesome.
Like the main girl really kind of reminded me of Hibiki a little bit.
Okay.
Aw.
Instant win.
Not so. Here's the funny thing though, was like she's not actually the main character.
Mhm.
Like her kind of surrogate father figure is.
Mhm.
And like most of the time, like that's kind of unusual for anime for the older male to be the protagonist.
Yeah, like that's not the case most of
Yeah,
the time.
like literally ever. Like again, it's kind of one of the fake out things of the show where it's like, well, obviously this like 14-year-old girl is going to be the lead character, and it's like, no, it's this guy who is 40s or 50s probably. Like it's just kind of a swerve. But then I was towards the end, I'm like, well, surely they're going to give her their moment, and she's going to be the one to punch the final bad guy. And then it was actually still him. I'm like, oh, okay.
Nice. I like the idea of like the entire world being in a tank. It's kind of just like it's like Girls' Last Tour, but with an entire society.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a hard show to talk about because I don't want to spoil. Like, also it's an anime original, which is huge.
That's always a plus
that is
for
nice.
me. Like, you know what? If you're not sourced from something else, I'm more than happy to give it a look because I like original material.
It has 12 episodes.
It means that you're more likely to finish it.
It has 12 episodes and a fucking ending.
Okay, so you are winning
Fuck
me
yeah.
over already.
Yeah. Again,
It has 12 episodes and an ending.
again
so much.
for anime, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Because I think
Yep.
I think Great Pretender actually was an anime original as well. But again, after coming off talking about ReZero, which is just the season that just completely leaves you up in the air at the end. Like, hey, endings are nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want 12 episodes, and a big cathartic payoff at the end, and no possible continuation.
That's how I am with pretty much all anime, personally.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's a tricky show to talk about because I don't want to say what the big meta thing is.
Right.
Even though it's revealed in episode 1.
Right.
And then episode 2 significantly explains and expands on it. Let me tell you, this show with the generic premise, it gets wild at points where you're just like, man, this is so not the show they told people it was going to be.
I like that kind of shit, though. I like being presented with something that's like that's very mundane on the surface, but then there's like really cool ways that they play with it. Like I think that's always a plus.
Like, it's almost like I wish they had gone like 1 or 2 more episodes more of playing it straight, because it's similar to how Monica got to the end of episode 3 and was just like, guess what? This is not the extremely safe, boring magical girl show that we're acting like it is. So this pulled the curtain like way faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a very good time and tried a whole bunch for like the last couple hours.
You think Gare Zero counts as a good curtain pull?
Oh, absolutely. People lost their fucking minds over that episode.
That was such a good pull, man. Like, that's serious. Like, I remember watching it like at first and being unimpressed, but going back years later and like, you know what? This is actually really good.
No, see, that's the thing. It has an insane episode 1 twist.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the show is actually still also good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Because should I just say what happens at the end of episode 1 in that show?
I mean, I think I might watch this, so I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah. Oh, no. Episode 1 of Gare Zero.
Gare Zero. Gare Zero has been here and out, and I think that even if you know what happens, like, that show's still really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Like, the episode 1 of that show just introduces you to this entire cast of, like, your heroes, and then they all die at the end of episode 1.
Fucking every single one of them, just done. It's done.
And it's totally... They never go back on it. They never really mention those characters again.
No,
the whole thing is actually.
They present this entire cast like very intricately too. Like they're bantering back and forth. You think that this is the crew you're stuck with the entire show.
Yeah,
and they
I'm sure
just fucking wipe them out.
It's like how all the promotion art for Symphogear focused on Kanade.
Yes. Like, that's fucking smart!
Imagine all the promotion art for this show also just focusing on this cast of 4 or 5 characters, and then they just all get wiped out at the end by the actual antagonist of the series.
It's so good!
So at the end, when they're like, oh, she's killing everybody, you're like, oh, right, she is killing everybody.
Yep.
We saw that in episode 1.
We saw that!
That's a fun
crazy
show reveal.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it's also actually a good show besides the crazy episode 1.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to.
That, man, you made real good use of your time off, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had fun on a bun just start to finish.
Yeah.
Can't say it was wasted at all.
Busy.
Cool.
John!
I watched a bunch of anime.
Yeah, I
didn't even think about this segue.
So I'd watch the good isekai.
Oh no. Not letting you get away with that, John.
Well, that's the thing, Polly. I watched the rest of Sword Art Online. I watched all of what was left.
Oh my God.
John, can I ask you something? I just want to ask you one thing.
Okay.
You know we're your friends, right? When you're depressed, why don't you come to us?
Okay, so I specified to friends once I was committed that that this is not because I am not having a mental break.
Okay, because see, this is where I was at the whole fucking time. I was like, God, what happened?
I thought that tweet was very
I'm fine.
like sarcasm.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
It's hard. It's a little hard. It's a little hard right now. It's a little hard for everybody.
Right, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not melting apart. Like I watched the second season of Sword Art Online when I had COVID. I watched the second season mid isolation, and I just was falling apart. And the way that manifested was trying to get everybody to talk to me about Sword Art Online, and it was not great, y'all. It wasn't
a weird thing. That's such a weird way for your own despair at having this awful illness to manifest. Is I want to watch this awful trash show and then make other people talk about it with me.
He genuinely thought the first half was good.
So I think what I wanted, I got a ways into it, and I was like, okay, I think it's pretty clear that I'm not just, and I went a while before like talking to other folks about it. Besides Red,
Yeah.
That's when you went. I'm revoking John Thayer privileges. Go ahead, Rhett.
John mentioned Sao in passing, Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
Like multiple times in passing, like, I've been listening to the soundtrack all day. And I'm like, well, it's Yuki Kaijiro music, that's fine. And then you made some other reference to it, and I'm just like, huh. And then you like basically said you were watching it, and I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. He's actually, because like the first time I was like, well, there's no way John is smart enough. He's not actually going to start watching Sao again.
No, clearly not.
Because it really was very bad.
Okay, that's my piece.
The first 50 eps really were very bad. And to be clear, the rest of the show is also very bad. just to be clear. Yeah. But I did what I did want. I wanted to get past the point where it was because it absolutely started off as, wouldn't it be funny if I watched Sword Art Online? That was the impetus last year.
Yeah.
And I think this was the point where it's like it was no longer. There can't really be a veil of irony at this point.
No,
and I just kind of had to accept that I like Sword Art Online a lot.
Oh no.
especially so the first 50 episodes are the first 2 seasons, which is what I watched before. Mm-hmm. GGO is 1 arc, so it's like 13 episodes, and then there's Mother's Rosario, which is another like 10 episodes, and then the first 2 seasons, the first 2 arcs as well, and then there's the second 50 episodes are just one big arc, and it's Sword Art Online Alicization, and it's all in one world. So it's literally 4 different arcs, all in different games, and then 1 arc. And that takes the same amount they spend the same amount of time in that. So functionally, this is when it starts actually being sort of a real show. Because the way I figured it out was the first season of the show, the very first arc of the show rather, ends bizarrely. Because they get to floor 75, the final boss introduces himself, wipes the floor with the main characters, and then Kirito magically comes back to life and kills him, and then it ends. Floor 75 of 100. It's like, this is the halfway point. This is episode 26 of Soul Eater, where the final boss is released, and then we build up to the new climax, the actual climax.
Right.
But it just ends. It is... I cannot overstate how broken and unfinished and bizarre it feels.
Yeah, that's bonkers to me.
Yeah. And again, everything up through the end of Alicization was written as self-published web fiction from 2002 to 2008.
Yep.
So as a self-published web fiction, that makes sense because people get bored in the middle of their fic and they're like, I'm going to do something else. And then they don't finish it. Fine. But then he started rewriting it in 2009 for an actual light novel. And instead of finishing it, they just said, just keep the structure of the original. And then they adapted it in 2012 into a show. And they're like, well, we're adapting this light novel and it's obviously broken, which itself was adapted from this obviously broken web fiction. Let's reproduce that exactly. So we have this show that is reproducing verbatim all of the main glaring structural faults of the self-published webfic from 2002.
Oh man,
which is really fun.
That's
I think.
that's funny.
And so many people worked on the show. It's again beautiful production. Like
Right? It's among
always
A1's finest work.
mhm.
Like A1 is not really
Really known for great work, but they do put their best on this title, it seems.
They do a
Yeah.
bunch of talented VAs, millions of viewers, Yuki Kaitra music, which is always good.
Just fucking bonkers to me. Still,
God, that's what
And
kills.
Go
Whenever
ahead,
you
Rhett.
whenever you post a clip and I hear that music mixed against Sword Art Online, it does just feel like so unearned.
yeah.
But it is just they could not escape the faults of the original web fiction. They never got to the point where an editor said, "No, we have to fix this.
This
because
is
it sucks."
actually bad.
So instead, we have a show that for the first 50 episodes just fucks around, and then they start the real show. And the real show constantly calls back to that first 50 episodes, like, "Oh, remember our time with these characters? Remember Yuki? Remember all the legendary battles of Aincrad with Asuna and Kirito? All the callbacks." And it's just this completely broken,
Do you
fractured thing.
Do you remember the glop?
That was not included in the
That wasn't
adaptation.
included? Wow.
That was not. I know.
It really does have that kind of 2000s webcomic energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to appreciate it. Almost is looking at it as like a bizarrely well produced like 2000s webcomic or something. Because then all the broken parts kind of are like, oh, okay. We're like halfway through the archive. He's like, all right, now we're gonna start the real arc, and because I've learned and grown. So that's essentially what Alicization is that it's what the show should have been from the start.
Oh man.
And it's compromised by the fact that there's 50 episodes of bullshit before that.
Mm-hmm.
That also
and to be
ends
clear,
up,
I mean, like, go ahead, Rhett.
a lot of that stuff ends up being important too because they call back literally to those characters.
Oh yeah, you can't just start with Alicization.
Yeah, that's the
Watch
other thing.
all
Is
the way
like
through.
it's not that they throw out the first 50 episodes; it's that it all matters. But the show really starts.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
I didn't start writing for really real until
Yeah.
Alicization.
Yeah. And the worst part, the thing that blows my mind the most, he has a separate light novel series called Sword Art Online Progressive, where he just continues the story of the first arc past Floor 75. It's like, here's an AU where I actually finished the story I started.
Oh my god.
But that's not what's getting turned into an anime. That's not what's getting all this. So
No.
it's just like, you couldn't have fixed it at the time. You had to reproduce all these faults, and now it's like, well, okay. And the video games do the same thing. They just are like, all right, we're in an AU where we fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, I
first
noticed
show.
that with the games.
Yeah, because the first season is the one that has the very clear stakes of we are trapped in the virtual world, and if we die in the virtual world, we die in real life.
Yeah.
We've explained why that happens. It's clear. It's exciting. It's fun. We've got a bunch of episodic cool shit. And every subsequent arc is compromised by, all right, now we have to contrive a new set of reasons why it matters whether or not you win in the game or not. And the fact that they have to keep contriving that, and it's never as strong as it is in that first season. And that's why all the sound nerds are like, well, the Aincrad is the best arc, even though it doesn't go anywhere. Because it felt the most... It just keeps kind of skating on the momentum of like, hey, we have this episodic show with real stakes that we never finished.
Yeah.
And then they finally are like, all right, now let's make a real show. And Kirito's trapped in a new virtual world, the underworld. They let you know that it's a reference to Alice in Wonderland, and then they say that explicitly in the first episode, and that's why it's called Alicization, and that's why the main character that's why Alice looks like Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
And this is when he started
God.
writing for really reels.
Oh my god.
Yup.
She doesn't just look like
the
Alice,
idea
but she also looks like Jean from our favorite Fate.
Oh good.
She She does look exactly like Sean. Her personality is the same as Sean's. It's bizarre. But the hook with this one is that the underworld is populated by copies of human souls that were raised from birth in the virtual world. So it's essentially a bunch of real people that are AIs. And Kirito's the only real at first Kirito's the only real person in this world, but then you form relationships with the other people. And what connected me with the first season, and again, just to be clear, it's all bad.
I am eating out of the trash can. Don't. Yeah, I've got the slop bucket around my neck. It's all good.
What connected me with the first season is that it's very intimate because it's almost entirely Kirito and his new friend Yujiro.
Right.
And it actually takes its time establishing their day-to-day existence. And they live. And the other thing about this virtual world is that time moves much faster in this virtual world than it does in the real world. So in the real world, Asuna is fretting because Kirito's stuck in the VR world because he was attacked and now he's in a coma, and the only way they can treat him is by putting him in this time thing. It's actually not very clearly explained. There's a contrived reason why he's in a coma in the real world and is stuck in the underworld.
Right.
And they spend like half the show like building up this relationship, and then the entire back half is, okay, we have established this relationship, we have established that the world is broken, the church rules over it with an iron fist. If you break the rules of the church, you will be killed. And also, if you attempt to break the rules of the church, a giant red, a searing pain hits in your right eye, and it goes system alert, error code 871, and you start screaming, and it hurts a lot. You literally cannot disobey the church without being in horrible pain. And then the halfway point of the show is Yujiro like actually managing to break that, and his eyes just explodes, and he breaks the rule of the church, and then Kirito joins him, and now they are fugitives of this broken system. And it's a lot of cool dynamics there. I like the systemic abuse aspect of it.
Right.
It's kind of a church ruling, being part of this system that is broken, and then fighting it. The entire back half is them climbing the tower of the main church and just fighting cool bosses. And they actually no, in like a good way though. They like figured out how to make Sword Art Online action kind of good. Kirito barely cheats. Everybody has noble phantasms now. It's really cool. And it kind of works for me. They get to the end and they actually have a big climactic multi-boss finale, which is everything that you didn't really get out of the first 4 arcs. Because the first arc doesn't have an ending. The second arc has a really, really lame ending, where he fights one guy and cheats and wins, and it's really weird. GGO kind of works, and then Mother's Rosario is its own thing.
It has AIDS. AIDS.
Everyone has AIDS.
Asuna gets a new girlfriend, and then she immediately dies of AIDS, and it's very sad and tragic, and you feel a lot of feelings. Or you don't, because you're not a fucking sucker like me.
Yeah.
So it's the first time that the show is like, I know I said this about GGO, but it's like the first time the show is actually kind of functioning. Because GGO, he's still cheating constantly. He's still like way ahead of everybody else in a way that sucks all the stakes out of any of the action.
Yeah.
Which Rhett watching it made me realize, like, okay, yeah, it's better than these 2 seasons, but it's still pretty bad. But yeah, they just kind of figured out the action. I was like, oh, cool. And
somebody told him, hey, man, Kirito kind of being able to cheat everything and always win, it's not very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finally...
All right.
Then he actually listened. That's weird.
Yeah. The way Kirito functions in this show is much better. He actually just is like the Goku. He actually is like, they make him function in a much more reasonable way, as opposed to just, in the beginning of the arc, we've established that he can't do his special dual wielding in this world, and then halfway through, he just starts dual wielding.
Can do
for
it
no reason.
Of course.
Oh, at the end of the arc, his HP hits 0, and everyone is like, "Well, that means you're dead." And then he's just like, "No, I'm not dead." And it's not it's not working on Gurren Lagann rules. Everything else in the show is trying to be hard rules.
Yeah.
And they just like,
And then he just breaks the fucking rules because that's what the writer wants him to do.
That's what the writer thinks being cool is.
Yeah.
Instead of establishing rules and then having an exciting climax within those rules.
Within the rules.
Because that's what's actually fun.
Yeah.
He just is like, no, you just... So that's what they kind of figure out. They figure out how to make him function. This is the show sort of working, which is what I always wanted, was it for it to function on the same stupid chuny harem action bullshit level that I loved about Fate Stay Night and ReZero.
You got a brand. You got a brand.
It's not. It's not. It doesn't really reach those levels because it's still not funny. There's not like. It's just aching for anybody to tell a fucking joke. There's no. It makes the whole thing feel like dry. And low
it sounds so joyless. It's like a fully cooked steak.
It's better than what came before, but it's still a dry light novel adaptation. Is what I'll say. Like
John,
I think it's yeah.
You told me one of the jokes, I forget exactly what it was, but it was like, it ends with Kirito and Asuna looking at each other and laughing as if they had told a joke, but they actually didn't. Oh, something about her, like, she measures his heart rate all the time.
Oh yeah, at the start of the season, Kirito and Asuna and Shinon from GGO, my girlfriend, they're just chilling around, and then Asuna, like, matter-of-factly goes like, "Oh yeah, by the way, he has a sensor attached to his heart now because of his new job with these underworld people, and I just have an app where I can look at his heart rate at all times." And Shinon is like, "Oh, that sounds like an anti-cheating device," and then they're like, "No," and like, you can see that dynamic being funny in another show.
What's the joke?
Is the joke that he cheats?
No, the joke is the joke would be in a different show, in a real show. The joke would be that Asuna is protective of Kirito because she knows that Shinon likes him,
right,
and would want to cheat with him potentially. Mm-hmm. So she's like, "Well, just so you know, I have an app on my phone that says when his heart rate goes really fast, and I can call him and whatnot." Okay, so I think that would be the joke, but it's played completely without humor.
Okay, yeah. This dry shoe leather humor here.
Yeah. To be clear, I actually meant cheat in the game.
Oh no, I meant cheating. I meant relationship cheating. So that's one of the big issues.
Yeah.
The other big issue is that the whole thing is about Yu-Gi-Oh's arc and how he goes from being weak and unable to protect his friends and Alice at the start of the show to being strong and brave and saving everybody and being even as strong as Kirito. Can you guess how this arc is represented in the show?
Oh no.
How do we represent a boy becoming brave and strong and able to protect people that he loves?
Oh, God. Just hit me.
Well, in the first 10 episodes, there are 4 separate women that are bound up and imperiled in front of Yu-Gi-Oh, usually sexually. And the first time he can't do anything about it and he feels really bad and guilty about it. The second time he freezes up, but then Kirito helps him and then they're able to save the girl who's the sister of the first girl. And then the third time, that's when he is his pupil are both being very graphically assaulted on screen, and then his eye breaks, his eye bursts, and then he kills the people. And those 2 people in the last scene were introduced like an episode earlier and then disappear from the show afterwards.
Oh,
so
okay.
they just are there for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh my god. Oh.
John,
It's real bad.
I have a question.
I
I've
feel
never
like
followed
my
up
eye
on
is gonna burst out of my fucking head thinking about this garbage.
John, did Pugilist Girl, did Punchy Girl ever come back?
No, she just was there to suffer for a second and then
What the
disappeared.
fuck? Okay.
And then the thing is, those two girls come back in the next season and immediately are imperiled again to motivate a different man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's real on the nose. It's real rough. Yeah,
It's
Rhett?
baked into the DNA of the show. Like, it's
Yes.
just part of that series.
Like, I know that I
It's-
joke that this is literally ReZero, and that, like, all characters are sacrificed so that Subaru can be the coolest person in the room. But it sounds way more widespread in SAO.
Yeah, I think that you're right to say that the dynamic is present in ReZero. I think the dynamic is also present in Fate.
No,
Yeah, Rhett?
yeah, I just feel a little awkward putting ReZero on the level of those two.
But
as
it's
far
the
as,
same
like-
thing. Its characters are literally being sacrificed and thrown away once there's no more use for them because they have a big moment, a big emotional moment that leans heavily in Subaru's favor, so that once he can tell them, okay, I've already got what I need from you, but I don't like you, so whatever, goodbye, that character is tossed aside. It's going to happen to every single character in that show.
Polly was clearly Team Rem, incredibly salty over him choosing Amelia.
No, I think him choosing Amelia is just utterly stupid because he seems to feel entitled to Amelia for some reason, and I think it's just gross. Like, dude, you met her once and you're in love with her, and now you're going to stalk her for the rest of her fucking days? Like, dude.
Okay, what I meant was that Fate and Sword Art Online have sexual assault scenes that,
Okay.
that ReZero does not.
Okay, ReZero does not broach sexual assault, and I would not try to paint it as such. But SAO and Fate are just, Jesus Christ, like, man. And it's still the gall that the writer of SAO has to say that he doesn't know how he writes such good female characters. It just comes naturally to me. Makes me want to put my head through the thickest steel door that I can find. Because there's no reality in which that's true. But he says it and people believe it and people report it and people support it.
And so it reminds me of George R.R. Martin. People asking him, how do you write such good women? And he goes, well, I just think of them as people first. And it's like, cool, dude. Yeah, good job.
Cool, man.
You're killing it.
Yeah.
Thanks for just killing it.
All lives matter, my dude.
I think you're right to think, even though ReZero is much classier about how it goes about it,
Right.
it's not as overtly offensive. I think you are right to think that the underlying dynamic of there is a boy at the center of this universe and we want to make him seem very cool. I think that's an accurate assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, John, what if the show was about a girl that they want to make really cool and she punches stuff a lot and things?
I thought a lot about Symphogear while watching Sao, and there's just sort of some fundamental differences in how they approach like action and structure. I think that's why Symphogear. I think we joked that I would like Symphogear if it was about a boy, and I don't think that's accurate. I think that it's a lot of other stuff about Symphogear that kind of doesn't feed the same impulses. And I'm kind of talking about it in like that sort of base. Almost like indulgent, almost pornographic way, because I think that's how all these shows operate.
I mean, I
They
think
are
that's
feeding-
the implication. Like they might not be out and out pornographic, but that's the implication. That's the dynamic they're going for.
I think Sao is out and out pornographic. I think the way it builds to, its scenes so consistently.
Right.
I got to a certain point where I was like, okay, so this is essentially serving as like softcore rape porn, like the way it's slow burn softcore rape porn, and it airs on Toonami and it's aimed at teens. So
What
that's really not cool.
Okay, there's a scene. You know which one I'm talking about. They have to censor that on American TV, don't they?
I hope so. Real bad.
Is it the sexual assault scene?
It's the
That's
season
not-
2
that's not
premiere.
rated.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
There
Because
was
there's
one
another
in particular that went, apparently, according to John, significantly further than everything else.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It is pornographic. Like that is
Okay.
how it's a show like, but the show is still like trying to seem like nice guy. It's still trying to be like, oh, but Kirito and Yuji are nice, and these are only the bad people would ever do these things. But we're really going to enjoy it in the meantime.
Yeah.
So it is very fundamentally icky while also being very disingenuous about that ickiness. So I think that's sort of the big.
That's
thing
kind of
for
where
me
the
where I look
pushback
for-
comes from, yeah.
Yeah, because like generally, like we talked about rants last
Oh yeah, yeah,
podcast.
like
generally people aren't too morally outraged about the existence of rants because it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense that people want to make that.
yeah,
Some
like
people
and
that
it's
exists
wearing it
there.
on its sleeve. It's not trying like like I respect rants more than I do SAO.
Absolutely,
Because I think
that-
Rants is wearing what it is on its sleeve, and SAO wants to pretend it's some real fucking high goddamn quality fiction, and it's not. And the people that
Yeah,
defend it in
absolutely.
the ways that they do without looking at this context, like anime fans are insufferable. Good God.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah. Now, an additional thing though. So after they beat the church, the second half of the season is about them. All right, so we destroyed the system, but now there's going to be this big underworld war.
Oh.
And for like 10 episodes, I actually started checking out because I'm just going to spoil this because y'all don't need to watch this. Because Yujo fucking dies at the end of the first season.
Aw.
And it's really sad because I loved him. He was my favorite boy. And they don't walk that back either. He stays dead.
Well, he's not Kirito.
Wow.
You can't walk it back, John. Come on.
Well, it's just like, because with the Mother's Rosario, they introduce a character just for them to have a tragic death
Yeah.
5 episodes later. And that's weak.
Yeah.
But introducing a character at the start of the show, making them the emotional core of the show, making their growth the emotional core, and then they die at the very end, and then they keep that. That's actually
You can have impact with that.
solid storytelling. That's good.
Okay.
You did it.
Give you that.
Good job.
Give you that.
Kawara. But Kirito also at the end of that show there's a power surge in real life because now terrorists are attacking the facility in real life. So there's this whole additional layer of action, which is the
Oh my
best reason to have a
God.
VR world. And there's a power surge and it fries his brain. And he is in a coma both in real life and in the VR world. And he stays in a coma in the VR world for like 18 episodes. He
An
is
entire-
out of the picture.
An entire season.
Almost, yeah, over. It's
All
hard
of
to talk
season
about
one.
seasons and arcs.
Yeah.
All of season 1 of season 4?
Yeah.
He is
Jeez.
out. Go ahead, Polly.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay. So the thing that I checked out on is that he's trying to be sort of political. He's trying to do like a political war story with a bunch of characters.
No, you can't do this. You don't have the chops for this.
And
No.
Yuji's gone, and Kirito's gone, and none of the characters from the first shows are gone, and it's just Alice, who's better than Jean, but still kind of boring.
Yeah, you've gotten rid of your entire main cast at this point, it sounds like.
So now it is like 10 episodes of just the background characters taking the main stage and having politics. And it reminded me a lot of Suikoden, actually.
Oh.
Touch point. But, Ray of Light, Asuna descends from the sky. She's dived into the virtual world. And then after that, it is about like 15 or 16 straight episodes of nonstop finale, callback, fan service.
Oh, just like everything you want.
It is everything. They have like every single character from the first 3 seasons just like show. Oh, well, now they're diving in, and now they're in the real world because the people, all Kirito's friends from the real world show up to save the underworld.
Right.
And it's just like one at a time. Oh, Asuna's here. Oh, Shion's here. Oh, they all have cool new designs. They all fight the villains who are actually scary and intimidating. They're scary because the main villain of the whole second season does a violence against women, and then while doing violence against women, flashes back to his childhood, the first time he did violence against women, and both are represented graphically.
Oh,
so
good.
That's how you know he's really evil.
Man.
Got multiple nesting inception layers of gross.
Yeah.
But that was another part of like the Suikoden thing. I was like, oh, okay, so this is how you're gonna sort of doing the Luca thing.
Yeah, the Luca Blight thing.
Cool. So this is how you know how to make people evil. That's the other thing with the first half of Alicization is that the main villain is a hot lady.
Oh.
And every other preceding villain in SAO is a slimy dude.
Yeah.
That was the only villain he knew how to write. And then it's like, oh, this is nice. Like a really domineering, mean Pope lady.
Yeah.
She's very good. So the last 16 episodes is just nonstop, like big, dumb catharsis. It's like 16 straight episodes of like Avengers Endgame.
Oh, Jesus.
But with Sword Art Online characters.
Dropping through portals.
More. What do you say, Rhett?
Dropping
through
through
portals,
yeah.
like Sinon does, apparently.
Yep. There's like 2 characters I didn't recognize, and I Googled them, and like, oh, they're from the movie that I didn't watch.
Yeah, you're not 100% on Sword Art Online. You did skip a movie.
I did skip a movie. I need to go back and watch that. I'm going to save that, though. I can't just burn through all of it.
No, you got to have something for a rainy
day.
My time of greatest need.
That's his in case of emergency break glass moments.
And then finally, so that all of the girlfriends from past seasons show up, and they have 8 episodes of fighting the big bads and all having their big cool moments. And then finally, the big bads keep having new layers to their plan. Actually, we're still ahead. They post an ad on an American server saying, "Hey, here's a cool new online game where you can kill people, and there's actually blood and guts and stuff." And they get 30,000 Americans to log in and just start killing people. They don't know that they're real souls that they're murdering. So that's big shit. The army just doubled. So everybody has these big, and then finally, agonizingly pulling it out as long as possible, and then Kirito wakes up, and they actually justify how it happens too. He needs the soul. He needs to be connected to the souls of Asuna, Shinon, and Lifa. So his wife, his girlfriend, and his sister. But then it's not enough, and then the soul of Yu-Gi-Oh appears for just a moment, wakes him up. Oh my god! Very nice. Oh my god. Asuna's dead from AIDS girlfriend appears because the image of her is still in her heart. It's very sweet, and then Kirito just fights for 4 episodes, and then there's 3 episodes of epilogue setting up the next arc. It's very silly. It's very dumb. It was a nice reward for having sat through a fucking 100 episodes of this.
Oh my god.
Show. So, do not recommend.
Unless your name's John Thayer. Unless your name's John Thayer, then this might be for you.
Yeah, it kept me engaged because it kept being bad in such varied ways, except for the ways in which it was bad all the time.
Oh, right.
But every season was just a new what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Until he finally gets his act together and tries as hard as he can, and it's still pretty shitty. But you appreciate it because of the contrast with everything that came before, and you're like, "Aw, you really cared."
You had a moment where you maybe were competent and believed in something you were doing.
I think that's true of all of Alicization. I think that it represents the best Kawahara is capable of. I think it's shitty that they did not. I think it's what the show should have been from the start. And I think that all of the faults that are present in the best that Kawahara is capable of is more than enough reason to never check out the show.
Woo!
Does that make sense?
John digs through the shit so we don't have to.
Yep, I will absolutely be first in line when they finally start adapting the final arc, which is not finished yet in the light novels.
No,
because that's the only one that was not adapted from the original web fiction. He is in new uncharted territory now.
Mm-hmm.
So literally all of this was published from 2002 to 2008.
Yeah.
So this arc, though, the Alicization, like the climax you just saw, was the original end of the web arc?
It was the original end of the web fiction, yeah.
Okay. It definitely sounded like
Which is what it feels like. It feels like a series finale, the way it just brings back fucking everything.
Everyone's here.
And their ghosts are here. They have the dead girlfriend of AIDS show up
of course
4 different times.
Of
course! Hugging Asuna from behind, and then again during the fight, and then they have Yujia show up 5 different times for the big dumb cathartic moment. The Kirito's final attack is powered by the friendship by all of the friends. They send their spirit energy across the planet into his sword, and he just can fly.
Jesus
during the finale,
Christ.
the main villain takes on a new super form that looks like the villain from the end of Gurren Lagann. It's so big and stupid. Oh,
pump it into his veins.
Just put it in my veins. So I should probably watch XV Ret. I'm sorry to draw a comparison, but my brain multiple times was like, "Oh my god, is Symphogear XV this good?" where it's just like drawing all of the threads from this story that was absolutely made up as they went along.
Yeah.
And all right, we're gonna pretend had a plan, and we're gonna make it feel really cool.
Right.
Gushing over.
Gushing mode.
Sort of gushing. Problematic. Weird.
That's what I call Rhett. I call Rhett the sort of gushing.
2 years worth of gushing. Blowing into the podcast.
That's the description.
I watched it. Go ahead, Rhett.
Well, just something like 2 years of John gushing flowed endlessly onto the podcast.
That's the entire description.
So I hope it doesn't sound like I was making light of old.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Good, because it's really shitty.
Right. I get you.
And I did this during the second season. I derive some humor from the ways that it continuously one-ups itself in how gross it is.
Yeah, and just it's reveling in its own shittiness in a way that's just holy crap, you are aware, aren't you?
Well, apparently that one really bad scene at the start of season 2, or Underworld season 2, the latest one,
right,
was specifically made for the anime. It was a much more.
You would think the author has veto power.
I don't know if he has veto power or if he approved it, but it's something that's just baked into the DNA of the series.
Right.
Where, the Symphogear seasons, episode 1 always goes really bonkers with the action. We're okay, this time she's going to punch a mountain.
Yeah.
This time she's going to do a contra. For Sword Art Online, the season premiere was, we're going to go further than ever with the rape scene.
There are other scenes in that season and in the other seasons that were definitely from the original story that were also very gross. So I don't think that I definitely don't think the narrative should be that he got better,
No.
and then but the
Okay.
anime kept tearing him back down.
No,
because it's the same.
Yeah.
Literally
But
the
it's-
same character. Like 5 episodes later, just like extremely graphic violence for no reason.
It's just
Yeah.
for some reason it being
Go
a
ahead,
season premiere, like the episode 1 is always what puts me over. Where it's like they played it up as a season premiere, like get people in here
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, I can see the author entirely endorsing it.
Yeah.
Because in the original web novel, like that chapter probably wasn't anything like a groundbreaking
Yeah.
moment.
He was impressed
Maybe it's
with the
'cause
level of rape that he got to see. He was just like, "Wow, you guys! That sounds like I found the people to work with."
They were just like, we haven't had tentacles since Arc 2. We need to go back to that well.
Right.
Obviously. So yeah, it's that, and I think a little bit of like there's a little bit of humor from just like watching that escalation as well.
Yeah.
But I hope that
I got you.
they're straightforward about it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that is my Sao journey, barring the movie,
Oh boy.
barring the video games.
Which you just
Which you
fucking
just
bought. There's a lot of Sword Art Online video games. He bought 2 of them.
He bought Fatal Bullet and Alicization.
No, Jet Storm bought Alicization.
Oh, okay. Either way, I watched After 5 play Fatal Bullet, and it was just like, okay, this is a very boring third-person shooter.
Like that was the one I was considering because I do like the GGO arc or like the GGO alternative arc. But then like the reviews of the game were just like, yeah, it's a grindy third-person shooter. That
It's
doesn't
just
play
a
very good.
grindy, looty.
So I was like, okay, fuck this.
Yeah.
So y'all are just sitting here saying, "Oh, this Sword Art Online thing is bad," so I'm not going to engage with it. And I'm like, huh. That would be nice if that was enough reason to not engage with this Sao thing.
You
I don't
think
know,
that's
I might-
enough for John Thayer?
I might just. I'm definitely not up for right now.
Right,
But
right.
I didn't buy 2 because I wanted to sit down and immediately buy 2. I bought the one because it was Fatal Bullet, and I wanted that one, and the other one was $5. It was the first one.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Color
oh,
realization or something.
Hollow Fragment.
Yeah.
Hollow Ataraxia.
Wait, that's Fate,
That's
isn't it?
that's
I
something
know.
else.
Son of a bitch.
So, barring the ancillary media and future arcs, the Sao journey is complete, and y'all are free.
The movie.
That's yeah. The games, the ancillary media, and the movie wasn't based on a light novel, so I was kind of like, because there's one 3-episode arc tucked in the middle of season 2 that wasn't based on a light novel, and it's the most like bland. We play through a video game level and fight a boss.
Oh God.
Okay, but
And
they
it's like, okay, regular Sao is bad, but it's like interesting bad. This is the nightmare world of what if Sao is just exactly what it said on the tin.
Like
More than
I
that.
can't do boring. If you can be bad in a spectacular way, I can get through this. But if you are boring, I literally just can't.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
was sandwiched between the Shinon arc and then the 8 arc. So I was
Right.
like, it's like, okay, we have very defined kinds of bad here, and then just right in the middle is like snooze, boring, blech.
Okay, a couple things. One, it sounds like those like there were Dragon Ball arcs that were done to stall the manga.
Yeah.
So it sounds like those where it's just like written by committee, like here's what Dragon Ball is. They're like the movies. Also, another thing
Yeah,
Paul
exactly.
said, bad in a spectacular way is actually what it says on the Sympho Gearbox.
Oh my god, really?
No,
That's really. Oh, okay. I was confused for a second.
I'm just saying. Polly's saying she can do bad in a spectacular way. I'm like, yeah, that's my jam.
So those are the. Yeah, we both have. I it's not a guilt. It is a guilty pleasure for me. I don't. The Simple Gear is definitely not.
Simple
a guilty
Gear is
pleasure.
not a guilty pleasure for Rhett.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty clearly guilty pleasure based on how I exclusively talked about it on my private Twitter this time. At length.
At length.
So that, I'm done.
All
Thank
right.
y'all for listening, as always. Lots of love.
Right.
Polly.
Yo!
Polly.
Hey. So I came to the end of a journey
Now,
myself.
now,
Yes?
mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so Red watched ReZero. I watched Sword Art Online. Did you have any kind of long-running fantasy harem show about a cool boy?
I might have finished a long-running piece of media about a cool boy with a heart.
Oh, Keiichi from Higurashi.
God damn! It's just that's the energy that permeates the rest of this whole episode, isn't it? So yeah, I've finished. I've come to the conclusion of Trails of Cold Steel 4. We did it, everybody.
Oh my
We
god.
made it. It took like 40
Fuck
days. Oh man, I was plugging at this
Seemed
one.
like a very large game.
It's pretty long. It's pretty big. It was way bigger than I thought it would be. I still think it's not as big as Cold Steel 2. Cold Steel 2 is just like, Jesus, why? It's still ending!
Cold Steel 2 sounds skippable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who needs
I think if you said this one took her like 120 hours,
Mhm.
that's a big boy.
It's a big old boy. Yeah, this one took me 100 hours on the dot.
Oh my god.
Holy moly.
But I chose to engage with literally everything I could, and I still missed the top rank by 1 fucking point. And it turns out, the irony of all ironies was there's a quest in the final area where you can do side quests that's a card game. And I'm like, fuck you, I hate card games. I'm going to do the quest, and then it'll let you, even if you lose the game, it'll let you proceed as if you won. So I was like, okay, cool, I did the quest. Turns out you get 2 bonus AP if you win the game. If you actually play and win the game. So I fucking... God damn it. But yeah. I only just finished this game like late Thursday night, Friday morning. And there's honestly just a ridiculous amount of material to unpack that I'm still trying to unpack at the end of this very big video game. Like, and I said that during my discussion of Cold Steel 3 that Cold Steel 3 was a game that wrote an absurd amount of checks that this game would have to be able to cash. And I'm happy to report that I think for the most part it's done exactly that. Against all odds, I was not sure coming into Cold Steel 4 if like all of the stuff that they threw at you in Cold Steel 3 would kind of get, you know, answers and names and faces put to them, but they fucking did it, and I was, you know what, fucking brilliant. So rather than like trying to talk about all that though, I think maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of just go through some points that I like and dislike about this game and sort of the series overall to kind of give the better picture here. Because again, this is a game where narratively you hit the ground running. You start this game off in places you've never been, that you've probably wondered about, talking to characters that you know, you want to talk about Sword Art Online bringing literally everybody back. This is the game with literally fucking everybody, and they are just... It's no. This is a... Like, if a game ever felt like a series finale, this one feels like it. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Like, you get... Like, this is a game with so many fucking characters, ridiculous. I think, like, the final character select screen has, like, 39 characters or something. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, your eyes don't even gloss over at that point when you get there. It's just they pop the screen up and there's like 39 characters and you just sit there and laugh for a couple minutes because it's so stupid.
And you've got 4 spots in your party, maybe 3 if you have to use.
There you go. So I think like I'll start with like the one that came up last time. The point that came up last time and that I don't think my opinion is going to change on is the fact that I think I'm kind of burnt out on the battle system at this point.
Oh, for sure. This is
Breaking
9
it.
in a row or something.
Yeah, like breaking in orders were added in Cold Steel 3 to try and give this one a bit more of a shine. But ultimately, I think that they probably need to build something from the ground up at this point. This system has served like 10 games, counting Hajimari at this point. And I just can't see me being all that enthused going forward with it anymore. Like, I spent most of the back half of this game just like avoiding most normal encounters that didn't give decent EXP, and I only fought dangerous monsters in dungeons. So, and when I got to the final dungeon, I was even skipping dangerous monsters because it was just like I don't feel the need to. I feel that the boss battles that I'm fighting are metered out in such a way that numbers don't matter at this point because the numbers are so big. Me getting like 100 extra hit points and 12 ATP, not going to matter that much in the end. So I ended up skipping a lot of combat at the end of the game, which is fine. And there are still great bosses. Don't get me wrong. Like, this game's entire back half is full of nothing but fantastic bosses, both. Yeah, even if they might not have been fulfilling from a mechanical standpoint, because I had kind of found a way to break the game as I have continued to break the entire Cold Steel series pretty early, and they let you get to that point pretty early. Just build some evasion tanks, people. Build evasion tanks and cast Shining in every battle, and if you want a much easier time. But like the boss battles themselves are just great, like these great set piece moments, or battles that are as big and crazy and over the top as they would need to be. Like that, there's a battle in Trails 3rd against a certain character who fights you alone, and he earns being able to be badass enough to do that. And there's a lot of moments like that in Cold Steel 4 where they give you these big moments where it's just like, okay, I can believe that guy would literally be able to take on 3 parties at once. Holy shit, this is nuts. But normal dungeoning was just kind of a slog, and I need something else to be engaged. Or like if I'm gonna play Hajimari, like I'm just gonna put normal fights on very easy and blitz through them, and then pump the game back up to hard for boss fights. Like, I think that's just how I handle this series going forward if we're gonna keep doing this battle system. But I think that they've said moving to Calvard that they want to try and implement some real-time stuff into their system. And given the fact that this is from the people that make Tokyo Xanadu and Ys, I kind of have a lot of confidence in their ability to be able to make that work. So if that's something they want to kind of start working into their Trails system, yeah, that's good for me.
Another...
Could you imagine?
Calvard is just the end.
Pardon?
Could you imagine a series that went for like 7 games as a beat 'em up and then just became a turn-based thing? That'd be wild.
Fucking wild, right?
So imagine if this just went for 10 games as a turn-based thing and then Calvard is like, oh, it's a beat 'em up now. You play Zin.
Yep. You know what? I'm here for it. I've had enough of this turn-based system. I think that it is still a great battle system. It's still fantastic.
It's so many games, though.
Yeah, it's 10 games.
Yeah.
And the fact that the last couple are all like these 100-hour epics is like, that's enough.
Yeah, like you need to move forward. And it sounds like they are in agreement, which is why they kind of want... It sounds like they really want to take a lot of time on the next actual official Trails game after Hajimari, so... Hopefully they address that. Hopefully, and if they do come back with another turn-based battle system, I hope that it's markedly different than this one. My other point that kind of stretches throughout this whole series is like the romance / wish fulfillment stuff just falls flat for me. So Reen as a character, it's just like... Reen is a good character. I don't want this to reflect on that character at all, because Reen is a very well-written protagonist and someone who's got a lot of weight on their shoulders and manages to handle it and confront everything that's thrown at him very well. But it's something that started... Like the romance stuff started sort of in the Crossbell games. But it felt different there because that's a super tiny cast and there weren't a lot of options. But in Cold Steel, it's literally everyone in the Empire, and even people outside of it, are falling over themselves to slobbering Schwarzer's knob. And it just felt embarrassing. Like, it literally started to embarrass me by the end. Like, when I would get to everybody's final bonding events, like when you're, like everybody's, like you get ready to go into the big bad, but we have another round of bonding events that we can have with people, pep your team members up. Like, let's get ready. We're going to go take down the big bad. And it's literally every bonding scene with any female near the end of the game is just them confessing their love to him and him needing time to think about it until the plot appropriate point. And it just feels silly to me. It's just like, what bothers me about it, I think, is you have this huge cast of characters. You have this huge cast of students. All of these characters who are growing together in this environment and having gone through these big events and having to pull together in really hard emotional ways. And you're telling me that this cast of gorgeous guys and girls going through 3 or more years of turmoil together, you're going to tell me nobody finds comfort in anyone else's arms and they only love Reen? You're telling me that, like, within this large cast of characters, there aren't other couples that are believable? And it shocked me, because you do find that in Trails in the Sky. And that there are obvious pairings that are kind of like, you see a little something there. You don't get that with Cold Steel, because they need to make sure that every girl has a hardcore boner for Reen, and that just bugs me. It deflates the relationships a lot. It feels super hokey. It doesn't make, like I said, it doesn't make Reen a bad character, but I wish they would have picked and written some good layered relationships with this big cast of characters who were all really good and memorable, and would all, like, there are so many suitable pairings here. But just like everybody being in love with Reen just drives me fucking nuts, and I didn't buy any of it. It made me just dislike any and all of the romance at all. So yeah, like
that's rough, because
that's
the romance of
extremely fair.
Trails in the Sky, the second chapter, is like a huge part of it.
Yeah,
like
it's
when
the
it's
big
done well.
beating heart of why. It's the big beating heart of why Trails in the Sky works. Is like there's so much love and like going to the literal ends of the earth for the person you love, and you don't really get that in this like at all. Like none of the bonding events really come close, because they can't write it like that, because it has to be like Persona, where it's this separate compartmentalized thing where it exists in this reality, but not necessarily the main, because like they clearly wanted to make Elisa the main girl. They clearly wanted to, because she is there front and center for Reen in so many pivotal moments of the story. But like they just don't stick to it or commit to it in any way, because man, that'll make the player mad if I take away their choice.
Ugh, that's
it's just
the worst.
The romance stuff really feels it feels disingenuous to me. Like it just feels like they had to do it that way because that's what Persona did.
Yeah, this is also takes place in a school, right?
Yeah.
Did it do a calendar system?
Mhm.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's got a calendar system.
So it sounds like they pulled a lot of lessons from Persona, including some maybe very bad ones.
Yeah,
because Persona romance is not romantic.
Yeah, it's the similar. Like I just feel nothing from the bonding events in Cold Steel, unfortunately. Like unless they are like things that actually advance a character, like noticing something about themselves and carrying that forward. Like there are a lot of moments where you do have little moments where a character will like be given a chance of inner reflection, and it's not in some romantic context. It's more of just like, how can I grow as a person? And that fits in line with Reen's character, because his big thing is trying to drive others to be a better version of yourself. And those moments work, but like all the romance stuff is just so bad. So bad.
Would you call it a mistake?
Yeah, it's a mistake. I would call it a mistake, Brendan. Just bring that joke full circle.
Cold Steel is not a mistake, but it has mistakes in
It has mistakes. Oh, this is a series that absolutely has mistakes in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to call this. But moving on, so they do a great job of expanding and explaining the lore of everything going on in the Empire, as well as expanding on sort of the scope of exactly what's going on in the entirety of Zemuria. And that stuff is juicy, Jesus Christ! Because it's not just centralized to the things that are going on in the Empire, which are like one of the big parts of things that are going on, but there's some big shit going on involving this whole continent and a bunch of shit that we learn about this time around that's left me shitting my pants at 10 p.m. Thursday night. Like, what is going on? It's lore that just helps adequately explain like a bunch of mysterious happenings as far back as the Sky games that like may have been, like, and if you've thought about the world at all and the way things have sort of transpired or the way that the world is talked about, if you've ever asked those questions, this game starts dropping little bitty answers, and the effective scope of all those explanations and answers is just super dizzying. Like I said, I'm still unpacking this fucking game 3 days later. And that's just like the lore stuff. Like, that's not counting the big emotional climax that this game has that just left me a puddle in the middle of my floor for fucking 5 hours. In a good way. This game's got a great ending that it pulls all the right heartstrings, and it spent 4 games being allowed to do that in its final moments, I think. But, like, they're either writing this game's lore, or this entire world's lore, by the seat of their pants on a level that is unheard of, or they have had this planned out for a long while. But either way, this stuff is it's fascinating and honestly shocking at how well they're starting to make the bigger picture make sense, on top of being able to give you these big individual character catharses. So like all of that shit's good.
Rules.
We were also talking about characters. So how about characters? Do you know what game series has a lot of characters?
39 playable?
The Trail series has a lot of characters. This is especially true of the Cold Steel games, where I'd say these 4 games alone probably expand the size of the entire series by like 60 to 70%. And despite that, though, like a large portion of like the Sky and Crossbell characters appear in just this game alone. And like everybody still somehow manages to get their time to shine on the stage. I don't know how they did it, but I think that like even when you've got a cast this big, like some people are obviously they're going to be less important than others. Like that's just a given. But everybody is given like a moment in like the biggest spotlight that the series has ever had. And it feels real good. But I think the thing that remains most impressive to me, and the thing that sticks with me the most, is the way with which the Cold Steel games in particular kind of handle their side characters. And they're mostly like Thor students. Because like in Cold Steel 1 and 2, you get acquainted with one set of... You get one Class 7 and like all the people they go to school with. And then in Cold Steel 3 and 4, you've got an entirely new Class 7 and an entirely new like branch and main campus students to get acquainted with. And that's a shitload of fucking characters when you start fleshing them all out. And there's so many rewarding moments, especially in 3 and 4, where you actually run into all of these former students at one point or another. Whether it be like like people who were originally helping the original Class 7, or like characters that are like scattered about in the Empire now due to the events that are currently going on in the Empire that are from the current era of Thor's students. And it just kind of continued flooring me, like how nice it was to catch these side characters that I didn't know had kind of wormed their way into my brain from having done all these side quests. Like, because you start growing and you start growing intimate with these NPCs. And I think that it really starts to emphasize a mentality of you don't need to be a main character to make a difference. Because all of these characters are helping out in their own special way. Like, they don't need to be on the main stage to be helping, like, pave the way to the future. And that was always really, really touching to, like, for the branch campus students and, like, the main campus students and both generations being there in the final moments when you are infiltrating the final dungeon, for them to be there helping you lead that charge to, you know, to be the wings that you need to get there. It's a really, really, really cool mentality, I think, that this series has always kind of had. That it's something that they kind of just keep impressing upon. And I really like that a lot. Being able to kind of make those secondary cast members not just be, oh, you were an NPC I talked to and I don't remember your name. Whereas, like, no, I know I have favorite I have favorite students that I liked hanging out with and talking to every time I got to go run around and talk to NPCs. Like, it made me care about that stuff in a way that I didn't know that I could. Aww. Mostly because I don't think that NPCs don't get written like this very often.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just a lot of meat on the bone there.
Go ahead. If they're going to put effort into it, then they want to insist on it. Is generally how these games work. The RPGs work.
Yeah.
If they want you to care about them, then they're going to put them right in front of your face and say, "Hey, care about this person."
Yeah.
And Trails doesn't really do that. It gives love. It pours love into the whole world.
Yeah.
And then lets you pull as much as you're willing to dig out of it.
Yeah, like, and I wholeheartedly, like, recommend diving into that full experience when playing Cold Steel. Like, I think that, like, yeah, the side quest content may not be the most exciting, but I think that, like, it sets you up for these brilliant moments later where you run into somebody, like, in the middle of a mission, and then, like, they're the ones that, like, that did a little something off to the side that helped pull your ass out of the fire, and you didn't realize it in the moment, and then you run into them later, and it's just like, oh shit, it was you. Like, there are so many moments like that if you choose to engage with the side quests and stuff, and I think that is why you absolutely have to engage on that level, especially with Cold Steel. Mm-hmm. And of course, like, the main characters, like I said, like, there are 2 class 7s. Like, they introduced you to this one class 7 in the first 2 games, and you're like, man, I love these characters a whole bunch. And then you go to 3, and it's like, here's a new class 7, and you're like, my brain was just like, I don't know how that's gonna work. Like, how do you take that original cast, and, like, they obviously need to move on for the story to continue. You know, and most of the time you think, well, I want to move on with them. I want to do what they're doing. But no, like, we are introduced to a whole new dynamic and different characters in those main character roles. And one of them becomes the best character in the series. Like, I think that Yuna single-handedly actually... Yuna usurps Reen's role as a main character, I think.
Oh my god, wow.
She's such a strong force, and she has such strong growth over just the 2 games that she's in. And she finds a way to step into a leadership role and be her own person that is so... Like, it's like, you can do this too. Like, it's like you can go from being where Yuna probably started to taking this kind of control in your own destiny as well. It's a really uplifting and powerful story, and she just... Like, and her personality is just so... Like, there's a lot of Estelle Bright in there, but it's more brash, and it's more loud, and it's more confrontational. And it's a good mix. Like, she's such an amazing character. Mm-hmm. And I want more Yuna going forward in this series. Do not forget about her. Aww. She's so good.
Is she the one that uses Tonfa?
Yeah, she uses the Tonfa guns. Yeah. She's a big Lloyd fanboy. Pardon?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Estelle. She's a bit of a mix of the main characters.
This is the best roboting I've ever heard.
Yeah, I heard it too.
Don't give it a moment. We'll get you. Don't worry. We'll wait a couple seconds for the roboting to go. But it was incredible. I'm gonna take that out and use it as voice modulation for character dialogue in a video game. Okay, try it again, Rhett.
I give up.
No, you're good. Go.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Just
You said Tonfa guns.
Yeah, she uses Tompa guns.
That sounds very funny.
Yeah, she's
I don't know. I didn't expect the gun in there.
Yeah, she's got like her Tomfas.
Tonfa
She's got Tomfas, but they got guns in them too.
It's real good, and she can switch.
Okay.
And she can switch between ranged and melee in combat too. You click a button, and she's like ranged
Nice.
mode or striker mode. It's great. There are literally only 2 characters in the entire series that can do that, and she's one of them. But I guess to kind of wrap it up, because I'm kind of monologuing here because these two have not played Cold Steel yet.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of
Going to
context for
get
this stuff
there.
because
Yeah.
of Trails in the Sky.
Yeah, I think that,
Yeah.
like, despite my criticisms, Cold Steel 4 pretty much gave me everything I wanted in a sequel, in a continuation of this big overarching series. Like, I think that, yes, the Erebonia arc is absolutely worth experiencing. It's not a fucking waste of time. RPGsite.net or whatever you're fucking, like, God. Literally the stupidest review I've ever read. And I'm not even saying that to like fangirl about the game. I'm saying that, like, if you played these games for this long and your final fucking conclusion is Trails of Cold Steel was a mistake, shut up.
Boring.
You don't fucking like video games. You don't want to engage with anything. But
Just
like,
watching like you and if you play this, like your reactions to finish chapters, being every time it's like just or whatever.
Right.
I need a few days off. Like this game seems like massively delivers on house and stuff.
Yeah, there were multiple times where I would hit the end of a chapter and I was like, I can't. I need a moment. Because there's so many emotionally heavy moments in this game. It goes full force in everything that you think it's going to, and it's a lot. And the ending is just it leaves you with a lot of feelings. It's so good. It's so good. But
Like it's so long it feels like it's a trilogy.
yeah, it really does. But yeah, like this game gave me everything I wanted, like as a sequel, as a continuation of the series, and as the conclusion for this big saga of 4 games. Like, they leave us on a note where there's just enough uncertainty for you to be like, oh man, there's some juicy bits here. But you feel like you've reached the end of a very satisfying, fulfilling saga, and like I feel like I personally got some very strong I got some strong things out of this game that I probably needed to. I won't go into that too much right now because we are at 3 hours and we'll save it. Like, and guess what? I'll probably be talking about Cold Steel 4 again in a week.
The games you brought for this episode, the one right before Game of the Year.
Yeah, right.
Cold Steel 4 and Higurashi.
I brought
winding them up right before end of the year.
I brought a couple bombshells with me today, right?
I mean, Christ, you barely finished Higurashi before in time.
Yeah.
I think these also just both speak really strongly to like the power of a long form journey,
Yeah.
where you have a bunch of characters in one world and you build and build and build and build and build and build in that world by telling just story after story about all these different characters.
Yeah.
I think that's something I like as a creator. Certainly, it's easy for me to kind of dismiss sometimes because I like smaller stuff. But when and there's a lot of long form stuff like TV shows or games that don't deliver at all, that are just kind of they were made to be a product.
Yeah.
They were selling. We have this game series we need to make one after the other, and we just need to keep getting them out and getting people buying them, and that's our job. But then there are stories like this where they do the work and keep not just keep escalating, but keep like just telling new stories within this that builds the larger arc, I guess.
Yeah, and delivering with so
how
much
cool that is.
consistency.
Yeah. I just think that's really, really fucking cool.
Yeah.
It just comparing both Higurashi and Trails back to back, because they're both long
They're
form,
both
serial
long, yeah,
stories.
with huge
They
casts.
don't drop the ball.
Yeah.
8 to 9 games each.
Yeah. Absolutely worth the journey in both instances. So much good shit. Yeah, like Trails is amazing, y'all. Who turns out? How'd we know? Rhett's going to be playing OWL next year.
It kind of makes me wonder, like, where else can we get this high?
Yeah,
Because it's like are long fantasy novel series. I don't know. Where else is it?
Who's delivering with this kind of quality at this kind of level? Like it's why we have post Trails depression, which is a real thing. Where after you finish a Trails game, I make a conscious effort to not play anything for like maybe a week after, because I know that I'm still in that, like, I'm still unpacking this game. I can't emphasize how much the last like 5 hours of this game throws at you that is just mind-blowing. And that's not counting all of the bigger shit that's been happening for the other 100 hours. It's just a lot. There's no easy way to digest all of that. So that's it. That's me. That's Trails of Cold Steel. You will no doubt be hearing about that game more the next time we are together. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about before we scoot on out of here?
No.
I could not feasibly catch up on this series before God.
No.
Even if I played constantly without sleep until the Gotti podcast, I would be able to maybe finish less than 2 Cold Steel games.
Sean Chiplock did 3 Cold Steel games in 3 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah.
There are 68 hours in a week.
He was a big stream boy. He was a big stream boy for like 3 whole weeks and dove right into Cold Steel 4 on day 1. Like, man,
God,
it's just bonkers. But I guess if that's it, then I guess the only thing I have to do is remind you that, hey, guess what? Game of the Year's coming up. And if you haven't learned by now, all we want you to do is pick 3 games. They don't have to have been released this year. Write a little bit about them. And send that off to podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net. If you want to do an audio version of it, same rules apply. We just need it by noon on December 13th. So I guess that's going to do it for all of the regular episodes of 2020. This is the last one. We will probably be joining you live again on either January 3rd or the 10th. I don't know when.
Oh, God. That's so far away if it's the 10th.
Yeah, it is. But like those are the next Sundays that we have after kind of the holidays and stuff. And I'm
getting home on the 3rd, so that might not
all
work
right.
out.
So we will catch you live again on January 10th. The end of the year stuff will be running the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. They will be alternating album of the year, game of the year, album of the year, game of the year, the same way that we've done it the last few years. So that's a lot. You played like, but hey, you should send us a list anyway, nerd. Remember, you can do that at podcast at socksmakepeoplesexy.net. 3 games. They don't have to be released this year.
Yeah,
Write a little bit about it.
That's 3 games. There you go.
There you go. You did it. You just finished the half of the work on your list.
That was it. I was trying to think of I thought Sunset Overdrive was the Killer 7
Oh, God, no.
inspired indie game.
No. That's Paradise Killer. That's Paradise Killer.
But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. But before we do, John Thayer, do you want to tell the fine folks where they can find you?
Podcast at sorry. Shit. Damn it.
Wow, you're doing real great.
Twitch.tv/joystick.
farawaytimes.itch.io. And also, I found the puzzle script guy the puzzle script person who made like 100 puzzle script games, and it is now. I just put that in the.
That's Rosden.
That's
Rosden.itch.io. Rosden.itch.io. Rhett.
And you can play my game at farawaytimes.itch.io.
Rhett, what about you?
Watch Symphogear. It's not too late for it to be your anime of the year.
I mean, we're not doing that list, but you can still tell Rhett it's your anime
Just
of the
watch
year.
Symphogear anyways.
Like Rhett will probably prioritize your game of the year list if you just say that you liked Symphogear. Because Rhett takes care of this stuff, not me.
Gets special treatment.
I will count it as a game just for you.
All right.
Hey, Polly.
Yeah.
Before we close out, Polly.
Yeah.
Doritos 3D is coming back.
Yes, they are! Yes, they are! That is reason enough to live till at least January 18th.
I think there's reasons to live to January 20th as well.
Yeah, probably. Man.
And February 3rd.
February 3rd is going to be incredible as well. A lot of good stuff coming up.
Yep.
But since this is our last live show of the year, thanks everybody for coming out and always making these amazing. We always appreciate you coming here and joining us being stupid for 3 hours every other week. It's always amazing. And we'll be back to normal again on January 10th. And Game of the Year and Album of the Year stuff will be going up on the 22nd through the 25th. Thanks again, everybody. And remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you. All right, that is a show, everybody. Y'all are beautiful. You're amazing. Thanks again.
Lots of loves, everybody.
Thanks again for coming out. I've already got us a raid target. We are going to go over to Retro Games Live. They are doing a charity marathon to help feed the kids. They are donating their efforts to Random Acts of Kindness. And they've still got a long ways to go. If you go in there, be sure to make sure everybody knows. I want everybody that participates in this host to type. I want you to copy and paste this in chat when we go over. They'll know what you're talking about. And we will catch you the next time I stream, which is, I don't know when that'll be, but that'll probably be a Higurashi podcast at some point that we'll be doing within the next week or two, I have to imagine. So, all right, we're going to get out of here. Much love, everybody. Take it easy.
Loves.
And there's your line to paste. All right. Catch y'all later.